What is going on, everybody? It is episode 524 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Me and Brett, we just have a new lease on life today because we had the gift of watching the Mean Girls reboot last night.
Sadly, there's no alcohol in this.
Yeah, that's going to be a high point for the whole year.
Yeah, first movie of the year.
First movie review we've done in 2024. More to come.
It is up now, guys. It is on the channel. It went up an hour ago. You can go and watch it.
Watch it after the show.
It's actually more like, it's like I didn't have a whole lot to say. It was Mary ranting for about 13 minutes. It was
I
good.
probably could have gone longer than that.
I kind of capped it. I was like, we could be here all day.
Yeah. We have Libby joining us on the show today.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
How are you?
Here? Good.
Doing good?
I'm doing good.
Like we're kind of alone here because
We're all on our
everyone else is in
lonesome.
Iowa right now.
I assumed you would be in Iowa.
No, I have
You
no
didn't wanna-
reason. I have no reason to go to Iowa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
What am I gonna do in Iowa? Get cold. I'll be cold.
That's true. I saw
Traveled
Kellen.
long distances between locations.
I saw Kellen today on Twitter complaining about the temperature, and I was just like, cry harder, like, boo-hoo, right? As a Minnesotan, I
perfectly
reserve
happy
that
to
right
not be
to
in
do that
Iowa.
to anyone who complains about the weather.
Yeah.
It's my right. Guys, we got a bunch of stuff to get into today, but before we get started, would you hit the like button on this video? Please subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed yet already. We just passed 95,000 subscribers. We are very close now to that 100,000 subscriber mark so that me and Mary can get the damn play button.
That's
We
exciting.
want the play button. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. We're gonna cut it in half.
Nice.
I think we can get more than one. But we want the play button. So, guys, share this video with your friends so more people can come in here and hang out, watch the show, then share the video with their friends. We want more people to join us, so please go ahead and do that. Also, remember, all Super Chats, $20 and over, we will interrupt the discussion. We will read those Super Chats right then and there. Perhaps you yourself have feelings on the Mean Girls musical, or perhaps you have feelings on whether Amouranth is to blame for the fact that she made $50 million off her Simps. We have a poll up right now, and I asked you guys. I said, Amouranth made $50 million off OF. Who's to blame? Her, the Simps, or option number 3 I put is we live in a society.
We live in a society is a bit of a cop-out answer, but we had to give it to you.
And sadly, it's in the lead right now, but only by about a percentage point. Most of you believe that the Simps are the problem, 47%.
The Simps do outnumber Amouranth.
They very much do. So, guys, go ahead, vote in that poll today so that way we can know what you guys are thinking about. And also, if you do have something really, really pressing to say about that, remember, all Super Chats over the price of $20, we will read them right then and there. Or ask Mary about Mean Girls. She'd have a lot to say about Mean Girls.
Go ahead.
Do it.
If any of you are curious.
What do we got to talk about today? We got a bunch to get into. So, a while back, news came out that Gadot was apparently given the offer to play Barbie in the Barbie movie, to which she turned down. They also offered the role to Amy Schumer, and I was just kind of shocked. Her name was trending on Twitter the other day, and it was just all people being really mad that they offered her that role. Some of them because of her, what they claim to be her acting ability, and a lot of other people just don't like her because she's Jewish, and I was just kind of shocked. I suppose you shouldn't be.
Well, it's not that she's Jewish. I mean, she is outspokenly pro-Israel, and
Yes.
that is a hot button issue right now.
Yeah.
So they're outraged that she could have been Barbie but wasn't.
Yes.
But the real problem
I
is
don't
she's
know.
not funny and she's not a good actor. So why would they give her the role?
Exactly. So we'll get into that.
She also doesn't really look Barbie-like.
Look. I'm gonna be the pro Gal Gadot party on this discussion today. I swear not for physical reasons. I'm pro Gal Gadot in all respects. So we'll get into that. That's going to be a big topic of discussion. Also, if you remember about a week ago, we covered a young woman named Arden Young, who was an ex-child actor who has started these segments called Exposing Hollywood. And she has another installment of that series. We're going to watch that video and discuss it. She seems to be going on her own little role here, talking about all of the evils of the industry. So we'll get into it. Some people had some backlash. There was some pushback to her comments in this segment. So we'll get into it. Also, if you don't know who FKA Twigs is, I don't blame you. But FKA Twigs was once married to Shia LaBeouf, right?
I don't think they were
just
married.
dating?
They were dating.
Dating.
She has a pending sexual battery lawsuit with Shia LaBeouf.
Well-
She also dated Robert Pattinson. She's a musician, blah, blah, blah.
And she recently had a Calvin Klein ad banned in the UK because they said that it objectified her, that it was objectifying to women. It's a very interesting discussion. considering
Meanwhile, the Jeremy Allen White Calvin Klein ad, which we were actually celebrating because we can finally show a model who is in shape rather than plus size, that is still permitted. And
he's
we're
actually
talking about the
gender
double
he was
standard.
born in too,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
makes him exciting.
Yeah, so it's not even a pregnant man in the Calvin Klein ad. We need to count our blessings.
Exciting times, guys. Exciting times. So we'll get into that. Also, as I mentioned earlier about the poll today, Amouranth recently released the receipts on just how much money she has made doing what she does. And a very big topic of discussion is, look, who's to blame for this economy we've created around the sexual marketplace, the digital sexual marketplace. We'll talk about that. We'll get into the numbers and everything. It'll be a lot of fun and a little bit depressing all at the same time, as I tend to find those topics. So if you ladies are ready, we can just go ahead and get started. Mary, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Libby.
All set.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Couple of quick announcements first. The first one is pretty simple. It looks like the Fantastic Four movie has been delayed because apparently Pedro Pascal just doesn't have the time right now. So he's got to be able to do this. It says it's claimed that the Fantastic Four movie has been pushed back, which sounds like it's accommodating Pedro Pascal's busy schedule. If true, that means the movie the date could be changed. It's known that he's super busy because he's getting all the roles these days.
Does this perhaps imply that he isn't immediately killed off in the second season of The Last of Us?
Well, I mean, I still think they end up dragging that out. And
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think that they keep him on there as long as
All right.
possible. If anybody can afford him right now, HBO is going to give him the money for the bigger budget series, right? We're not talking about something that's not going to get any press. They'll put the money for the people that they can afford to the series that draw a whole lot of eyes to them. And as long as these series are coming out weekly, which is like, that's how you know that these like stations have actual faith that these will make them money, is when they do weekly releases rather than just dumping them all
Rather than the full dump.
at the same time, which is
Yeah.
really funny because I miss them all. I miss everything coming out all at once so that I could just watch it all in one
Like,
big.
I'll just watch this all today.
Yeah.
Right.
So I've been doing reviews for the show Reacher, and a lot of the comments are basically I can't watch this because I'm waiting for the whole season to finish so that I can watch it all at one time. If you're reviewing stuff, it's good that it comes out weekly because it gives you more content to make. But
Sure.
if you're just a viewer, I'd much rather be able to watch it all at one time.
It's the old way. You
Yeah.
used to actually have to know when shows were on and watch them when they were available.
I was even talking.
Not
to
even
somebody-
everything made it into syndication. so.
Yeah. Oh no, it had to break 100 episodes.
Right.
Like there's we did a topic the other day talking about like how Disney and Warner Brothers are kind of pushing people towards piracy because they keep pulling shows off these streaming services and then you can't find them anywhere and you can't find digital physical copies of them. But there's more than that. There's a lot of shows that I love that only got like 1 or 2 seasons that will never
Yeah.
go to syndication.
I feel like that too because I always love a supernatural teen drama show.
Yeah.
These are like my favorite kind of
Yeah.
shows. And they always end up with like one season, Like there's this one on Paramount that I just watched.
What's it called?
It was like School Spirits.
Okay.
And
It's so stereotypical.
I know.
I
I was like, are you really going to watch this? Yes, I am. It's about this girl and like, she died at school and now her spirit is haunting the school. And there's a
Okay.
bunch of other spirits that are haunting the school
it's a
who
new show?
all died at the school. And you're like, this is what
it
like
from the
you'd
CW?
shut down this. You'd think, but it's not.
not.
It's on Paramount, which I have because that's what has Star Trek on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there were shows like Under the Dome that got 3 seasons, or I liked Jericho with Skeet Ulrich, which only got 2 seasons. Those are actually on those streaming services, but those would have never gotten you episodic. Like all the shows that are on like MeTV or Ion or like Criminal Minds and shows that have like 30 gazillion seasons that they can just keep cycling through. Those actors make absolute insane money being
They
able to,
must do well.
doing that. But there's a lot of shows that you're just never going to get because they're not going to make it long enough to even be worth putting on a streaming service. So a lot of people go and pirate because of that. You shouldn't do that, though. We don't advocate for that here.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Bob's your uncle. Yeah, we don't. But The Last of Us is a big property for them. They've invested a whole ton of money in that. So we'll have to wait and see how much. Maybe we'll take an over-under as we get closer to to air date. Be like, what episode do you think he gets killed
How many
off in?
episodes does Pedro Pascal get?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. All right. So Selena Gomez was apparently on an Instagram break for all of 20 hours.
Maybe less. Yeah. Well, she does this a lot. She announces that she's going on a social media break every time that she does something that pisses people off or says something that pisses people off. And then she comes back really quickly, but this might have been the shortest social media break she's ever taken.
Was it like supposed to be punishment to her followers?
I don't know.
That she wasn't going to be posting?
Is it like trying to get sympathy? Like, you did this to me by cyberbullying me.
That might be the most narcissistic thing you could do, is like punishing your followers by saying, you now get none of me for a period of time.
Well, that's what people always do when they ditch their social media. They're like, I'm going to focus on the important things in life.
Then they're back like
and then
6
you're
hours
like,
later.
okay, I'll see you in 10 minutes, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and this is kind of the same thing as the people who announce that they're quitting, like social media. It's like, if you were really gonna do it, just do it. Don't announce it to everyone.
Selena Gomez,
the announcement is the way that you know they're going to come back really soon.
Selena is one of those celebrities that has a noticeably bad social media addiction. Unfortunately, she can't put the phone down even at the wee hours of the night. She's like in comment sections, arguing with people, correcting the narrative, when you could just ignore these things and let it go.
Yeah.
Like, there was this huge thing about people trying to lip read her conversation with Taylor Swift at the Golden Globes. They were trying to figure out what she said, and they were like, she said she asked Timothée Chalamet for a selfie, and he said no.
Yeah, I saw that. Did that really happen?
No, it didn't happen, because then TMZ followed Timothée Chalamet down the street, and they asked him if it was true. And he was like, that's ridiculous. Please leave me alone. But yeah, then she had to go in someone's Instagram comments and say like, no, I was just telling Taylor Swift that 2 of my friends hooked up. But Taylor Swift reacted like, oh. So they assumed that it was like really hot goss, and it wasn't.
If you're gonna take a break from social media, just do it. It's actually good for you. It's really, like, I was thinking about this the other day. Have you ever watched the videos of the people on Instagram who take like year-long breaks from social media? Okay, when you go to the comment sections, there's one of 2 types of comments you get there. The people who talk about how great it is, and the people who talk about whether YouTube is a social media platform or not. And those people are just there to ruin your day by saying, well, you're still doing YouTube. But the point is, have you ever heard a person say like, I took a year off social media and I hated it?
No,
that's not a thing. Like, anybody who takes a long break off social media always says they're better for it after the fact.
It might make you turn to some other addictive habit, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. Like,
you'll start getting super bad sugar cravings or something.
When maybe you just become a gym rat.
That would be helpful.
But that's good. That's not even a bad habit though. That just means that you've actually found a way to like fill your time with something that's actually beneficial for you. But like, I quit soda like a month ago and just immediately had to then curb candy. Not good for you.
I took a like, not exactly a social media break, but I took a day off from work recently. So I was only engaging a little bit, and I actually finished a book I had started reading like a month ago.
Funny how that works, right? Where you can just find the time then.
And I was just like, oh, I'll sit on the couch and finish reading this book. And it was a very relaxing and nice, it was a nice day. And I felt better having finished the book. I was like thinking about it, and it was interesting.
I've also found
I wish I had more days off.
Yeah. Like, I've also found that, like, if you can get away from social media for a period of time and you engage in new avenues, it actually helps my work. Meaning that, like, if I find myself in the same patterns day in and day out, my thought process during the show doesn't evolve past where it needs to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I sort of was thinking about that too. It's like you need some personal space inside your own brain in order to actually think about things and have ideas.
So if all I'm doing is mindlessly scrolling, I'm not actually putting a whole ton of thought into what I'm consuming. Whereas if I make the same comparison to like people who had to learn how to drive without maps, like without a phone with maps on it. Like you learned how to get to places much easier because you were actively using more of your brain when you were doing the process of looking for where you were going.
Yeah.
Now you can go to the same place 5 times and you might not actually pick up on how to get there because
you might have no idea.
Your brain's just listening to the audio prompts and telling you when to turn and stuff like that. So actually stretching your brain and getting away from social media for a period of time, I think is actually pretty relevant, especially if you have a job that requires you to be, at least something like this where you have to be verbose on a regular basis. Because I can definitely tell the days like where I just feel like my brain hasn't actually been stretched enough. Like I'm umming and ahhing more than I already am. And I'm not making points that would then come to my brain later. And like, why didn't I think of that in the moment? Well, if you're actually using more of your brain more regularly, you're more likely to actually pick up on that and make the adjustment ahead of time. So take a break next time for longer than 20 hours, though. I tell her she should do that. All right, guys. Pete Davidson. I don't know what was more creepy at Aretha Franklin's funeral, this or Bill Clinton staring at Ariana Grande.
I think, Pete Davidson said that he was high on ketamine at Aretha Franklin's funeral. That was years ago. But I don't know why he's admitting it now. And then these pictures of him from the funeral started getting circulated where he just looks like absolutely out of his mind. My theory is that he shared some of the ketamine with Bill Clinton.
Oh, that's a good theory.
Yeah. There were these creepy photos of Bill Clinton just absolutely leering at Ariana Grande, who was performing at the funeral.
You don't get to hear the word leering very often, but I think it's pretty applicable.
It's so applicable for this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, I was on a magical drug for the last 2.5-3 years called ketamine. It was amazing. What a time. It's embarrassing when you're not on ketamine anymore. I'm embarrassed. I was out and about like that. That's not cool, you know? I was at funerals like that. That's effed up, right? I was at Aretha Franklin's funeral like that. And I have to live with that. You know what I mean? She'll never know, but still, that's not the point.
Did he even need to share that with anyone?
Was this in a stand-up bit, right?
So
he might not even be telling the truth.
Funny.
But
it sounds like a
I would believe it though.
Yeah,
if it were true.
I actually had this weird thought the other day. I was like, I scroll through a lot, like when looking for topics or looking for things we're discussing, and I didn't even watch what this person posted, but it was like somebody makes a video in their car, their phone's on the dash or whatever, and they're like this. It says, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I'm like, if it was that embarrassing, why am I about to watch you start talking about whatever? Like, if you were actually embarrassed, you wouldn't be sharing this with people. That's a big part of being embarrassed. But the thing is, if you're like some type of social media influencer, you have to then decide, like, does my desire for privacy overweigh the clout that I'll gain from posting stuff like this? And those are the people that tend to be the most successful because they're willing to let you into these really, really like uncomfortable moments. And I don't even know how much of it I actually buy most of the time anymore.
You think they're making those things up?
I don't know about making them up.
I don't think people are really that good at making stuff up. I mean, there's people who are decent liars.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of hyperbole.
Why is everyone recording TikToks in their car specifically?
I wonder that too. Isn't that weird? It's like,
is it like the only place we're alone during the day?
It's the only private space they have, I guess.
Pretty good lighting, pretty good sound. I guess it makes sense, but then someone theorized that the low ceiling in your car makes you feel more aggressive.
Does it?
Makes you angry.
Is that why road rage is such a thing, or is it? I always thought that was because of the impersonal nature of it, being like you're blocked by glass and steel, so you feel safer shouting out. Mary's showing me this absolutely ridiculous video before the show of this fight between these two people in the same car.
Fight in the same car, like a physical fight?
Well, they weren't driving.
No.
Yeah, but
why were they fighting in the car? Were they like waiting?
It's hard to tell.
Outside a drive.
It's hard to tell, but the one of them had a huge disadvantage because he still had a seatbelt on when the other one started wailing on him. But yeah, there might be something to that theory about the feeling enclosed and claustrophobic. It makes you angry. It makes for a good TikTok.
Yeah, and also you feel safer because you're protected by the glass and the steel. Like I said, like people are more likely to yell at somebody outside of a car who's walking than a person outside of a car walking is going to be yelling at somebody that's inside the car.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think that depends on how many other pedestrians there are.
If
there's a bunch of you all can freak out at a car, and that's okay. Like, look at the all of these stoppages, the protesters who are stopping people from getting to the airport. Yeah. And there's like 10 of them, and they freak out at the cars, and then the cars just are stuck.
They never do it at government buildings or at military installations.
No, not recently. I wonder if they should do that. Someone should infiltrate the
Well, just go protest
mobs.
outside of a military base, like outside the front gates. So
Right.
you're not actually like preventing anyone that doesn't work for the company that you're or
Right.
the cause that you're.
Go
mad
hold up
at
the
to-
Pentagon.
Yes, like go seriously, go ahead. Isn't that their right? Don't do it so that
block
Bob
that
and
traffic.
Sandy, who need to get to
Right.
work,
Or the
can't get to
ambulance.
work.
Bob and Sandy.
I did Bob and Sandy. I gave them generic names of Bob and Sandy.
they're in
But
the car. They do the carpool together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sandy is a secretary and Bob is a general contractor.
There we go.
That's their jobs. I've hereby.
Are
given
there
them-
secretaries anymore? I don't even think there are secretaries outside of like the State Department. You know what I mean?
There's still secretaries.
Sort of like
big
Who's the
stewardess
secretary?
was deemed a sexist term for
Executive
flight attendants.
assistant.
Now you call it a receptionist instead of a secretary.
I don't think there's even receptionists. Who has a receptionist? Do these positions exist?
I
Could
bet
be
you-
replaced
okay,
by
no,
AI
I'm
easily.
curious. Yeah,
we were
that's what I'm
talking-
thinking.
Yeah.
The AI replacement.
Your dentist office has a receptionist. We were talking about the
That's true.
dentists are the only people left that have a harem.
Yeah. Have you seen Yelp photos of dentist offices? It's always
No.
just one dentist who's male and all of the assistants are female.
Interesting.
And it does look like a harem.
Yeah.
It has a weird vibe.
That's literally what my dentist office is. It's one dentist and all women all the time.
Mine is there's no men at my dentist office. It's a woman dentist, and the whole staff is female as well.
There you go.
It just occurred to me. I'd only been there once.
The force is female. The fluoride is female.
The fluoride is definitely.
All right, Mary, show everybody this photo. I'll show them this photo from Machine Gun Kelly from the guitar.
Yeah, well, MGK just did a collab with a guitar company, and this is supposed to be his signature guitar. It is shaped like a razor blade, and a lot of people got angry at this because they claimed it was promoting self-harm,
Do you think that's
promoting cutting.
So it's the guitar that promotes cutting, not the actual razor blades themselves.
I don't know. I mean, self-harm is kind of part of MGK's brand now because him and Megan Fox have already openly spoken about how they do weird blood rituals with each other.
Oh, that's right. That was this guy.
Yeah, like he has admitted that he cuts himself. I don't know with what instrument, but it could be a razor blade. A lot of the comments were saying this is borderline advocating cutting, trigger warning, WTF. They said I thought only guitar players get signatures. I think MGK is a guitar player. Is he not?
I mean, this could just as easily be advocating for drug use, since a lot of people use razor blades to cut up drugs.
Another said
It could be advocating for shaving.
you are
Crazy.
promoting
Box cutters.
self-harm to a
Wild.
young, impressionable audience. Great job, MGK. Y'all really knocked it out of the park here. I get it's a money grab, but have some dignity. Also looks like it could promote self-harm culture. Big L. Do you guys agree with this?
No.
No, I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, what is it supposed to like represent? Just like being edgy,
I think so. Yeah.
like a razor blade?
It's just got to be sharp. Maybe he's feeling sharp and edgy, like a pinstripe suit. You know.
Yeah, then he tweeted an explanation. Well, not really. It's a non-explanation. He said, I'll never explain my art because true art is controversial and always up for interpretation. But I will say most of you constantly interpret it wrong and then blame me for your version of what you think my art is. Ultimately, I'm sad at how people perceive me in general. Peace.
Oh my goodness, that's ridiculous.
He is a ridiculous person.
Well, he's still got Megan Fox, so I suppose he's
True
gotta
true
step
art
up.
doesn't have to be controversial, first of all. It's not always up for interpretation. Sometimes it's exactly what it is. And if people are interpreting his art wrong, then he's probably not communicating very well.
How often do you think these days that it's left up to interpretation, and how often do you think it's supposed to be just exactly what it is? I think more often than not now we see a lot of Hollywood trying to get you to rigidly interpret their art exactly as they want you to interpret it.
Well,
rather
I
than
guess I'm
leaving it
thinking
open.
of like visual art, you know, is kind of what the first thing that popped to mind is. And, you know, when you look at some of the older art, some of the religious art, or, you know, some of the really representational art, if you know about that time period and you know the artist, it's sort of exactly what it is. Like this is the Pietà or what have you, you know. Rodin. This is the thinker. You get you understand what the piece is about. Some of the more contemporary art that is up for interpretation a little bit more, I think has I think a lot of the artists don't know what it is that they're trying to communicate in the first place.
Right.
And that's why you say it's up for interpretation, because you're like, oh, I don't know what I was trying to say. You don't know what I was trying to say. So I'm just going to
fall
say
back
that
on
I'm,
that.
elitist and artistic and brilliant, and you don't understand me. And meanwhile, you're like, oh, I don't understand me either, it turns out.
A lot of artists just think that controversial, like art having a controversial nature is what makes it art.
That's
which
not,
is totally misguided.
I used to have this argument all the time with a friend of mine about where art takes place. Does art take place between the object and the viewer? Is art the object itself? Is it what is being communicated? What is art? And of course, this is an old question. This is not something that anyone has entirely nailed down. Is a manufactured guitar in the shape of a razor blade art? I would go so far as to say that no, I don't think that is art.
It's a product.
It's a product.
Yeah.
It is a commodity.
I think that art is supposed to draw you to contemplate the truth, or it's supposed to communicate some truth. And that would actually run headlong into the idea that it's supposed to be up to interpretation always. Like, sometimes you're actually, with contemporary art, just trying to confuse and upset people.
Right.
Getting a reaction doesn't make it art.
Right. Like if you look at Marina Abramovich, who came up, has come up a lot. And she came up recently in the realm of making satanic art or whatever. I don't remember what my point is now. I'm like fixated on Marina Abramovich. But, a lot of her stuff, she has this very clear idea of what it is that she's trying to say. And then she says it, and you kind of understand what it is that she's trying to do. She's carving a pentagram into her stomach. She's like intentionally being controversial. That's what she's trying to do. But I don't think that the best art is like that. It's funny, just in recent years, I've had sort of a turnabout. I used to be very into contemporary art. And by contemporary, I mean mid to late 20th century abstract expressionism through maybe like the dirty art movement of the 90s, by which I mean just like actually filthy, not like pornographic or whatever. But then in recent years, I've taken a much closer look at some of the religious paintings, some of the Renaissance work, this green Saint Bridget piece at the Philadelphia Art Museum, or like the Massacre of the Innocents. And I've just been really blown away by by sort of the honesty and the truth that is being communicated about what is sacred, and about how we experience nature, how we experience each other. So, things certainly can change in that realm as to what you think art is and what's most important about it.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just a very black and white thinker, and that's just temperamentally who I am. But I think if you're trying to confuse and upset people with your art, that is actually satanic. Because controversy implies confusion, conflict of ideas, and no one finding the real truth of the matter. I do find that satanic.
It certainly speaks to a lack of care for your viewers. You don't want to communicate with your viewers if you're intentionally just trying to trigger them for some reason. Which maybe that's what Machine Gun Kelly here means about his product that he's launched. But I don't think this is artistic. I don't think it's art, but I also don't think it's I think it's pretty tame. I think it's like pretty. Go ahead.
It just shows how easy
sell your dumb thing.
Yeah, like why is it impressive to offend people in an age where it's the easiest it's so ever been to offend people? That's not an accomplishment.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Not in today's day and age. All right, Mary, you wanted to talk about this thing with Dolly Parton and with Sydney Sweeney, right?
I thought we had to talk about Kanye West punching a photographer, though.
He did do that.
Did he do that?
That was in 2022. He ended up punching a photographer the other last year, and he's being sued for that now. This is 2 years ago now.
Well, it was a man seeking an autograph. It was probably paparazzi that were trying to sell the autograph on eBay. That would piss me off, too. but you showed me this video where he's claiming they're changing the size of Twix bars to make us fat.
Yes.
Wait, what?
Yeah. He made a claim when he did that last listening party where he said that he says they, that's how he says, he goes, they.
You mean like
are,
the Mars company?
Apparently, yes, the evil, the candy industrial complex is out to get us.
Candy industrial complex.
And he said that they're changing the size of the candy bars to make us all fatter. He's not wrong. Look, that back in the day.
I thought they were making them smaller.
What it used to be though, remember like a small drink used to, like, if you ever looked at the things that say like what a small drink used to be versus what a large drink used to be, and now like the small drink is like the size of like a medium from back in the day.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Maybe in movie theaters, but I thought there were now laws in
Certain
places
states.
like California.
New York, yeah, hellholes where
You can't sell large drinks anymore, or at least you can't sell a large soda.
No more big gulps.
Yeah.
It's a travesty. Anyway, let's move on. I've been saving this topic for a while just because I found it interesting. It's not really newsworthy, but there was a quote from Dolly Parton in a recent interview from late December where she talked about the fact that she never had kids and she doesn't feel any regret about that. And obviously, if a woman in her 60s says something like this, the media is going to eat it up and spread it everywhere. So here's what she said. I haven't missed it like I thought I might. When you're a young couple, you think you're going to have kids, but it just wasn't one of those burning things for me. I had my career and my music and I was traveling. If I'd had kids, I'd have stayed home with them, I'm sure, and worried myself to death about them. With everything that's going on, I'd hate to be bringing a child into this world right now. And that's such a popular sentiment.
The
right?
world is always a disaster.
Yeah, it's always been that way.
It's always bad. It's like, do you really want to bring a child into the world during caveman times when there's no antibiotics? Probably not.
I'm sure everyone
That's a
has
terrible
thought that.
time. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Bringing a child into the world with no antibiotics or whatever, 10 years ago or now or whenever. It's never a good time. Yeah, I think that's pretty funny. It's like, how would she know if she regrets it or not? She has absolutely no idea. What experience
she doesn't know what she's
missing. Yeah.
And Dolly's like in her late 70s now, right?
Oh, right. She's in her 70s.
She's getting old.
I thought she was 80. Weren't they
getting up
saying
there,
that
yeah.
she was like 80 wearing the Cowboys outfit or something?
We talked about that. Like, is this really appropriate
Yeah.
for a grandma?
Yes, it is.
But she's not a grandma, so there you go.
Right.
Let grandma live.
I had a professor in college, Rosette Lamont, and she was absolutely brilliant. She was French. She was in her 70s. She was wearing leather pants. You know, she had like known everybody that I thought was amazing. She knew all the Beatles. She had been friends with Samuel Beckett and Eugenie Ionesco and all of these amazing people. And she told me one day, we were taking the train back to the city together, and she was like, my mother and I focused on my career, and that was very important. But the only thing I regret is not having any children. I always remembered that. And I thought that's a regret I don't want to have.
I don't know if the world is worse than it always was. I think you're just more connected to it than you've ever been. You just have a lot of access to information that you wouldn't have had before. And I think that, like, imagine it's World War II, but you have the internet and you're able to get all of the news of what's going on from every corner
We might
of
have
the globe.
rescued people faster.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, I
You'd
don't
have
know
somebody in the concentration camp like, I got my BlackBerry in here. Or
they
whatever.
snuck in and they sent out an SMS.
They got it.
No SOS, just SMS to get themselves out of it. I think that you're more connected to the world, and certainly the news has become more sophisticated in their ability to manipulate, and certainly the case du jour is always that the news is bad because bad news sells. You can look at that. Anytime we cover something positive, it doesn't do nearly as well as it does if it's a topic that's talking about something negative. That's just the way people's brains work. There's a reason why Twitter is an outrage farming tool for most people, because there's financial incentive to do that. So no wonder people now live in constant fear of the world around them and have to always ask the question, should I even bring a child into this world? Because the idea of family being as important as we know it is has been degraded by society. You're constantly being told that the world is falling apart. I once saw this chart of like all of the political scams from each decade, global warming, what was it? The ozone layer, all the things.
All of the climate alarmism things.
And there's one for every decade. decade, right? There's a new one for every decade. But the difference is now the kids aren't ignoring the news like they used to, or at least it doesn't feel like it. It feels like now they actually try and pay attention to this stuff because the phone is right in front of them. They have the information all the time. Well, no wonder everyone's so bummed out.
But it's sort of the same. Like a lot of this too, if you think about it. I wonder if this is true as I say it, but certainly as the existentialist movement and philosophy like really hit the mainstream, and you had this idea that every individual is responsible for themselves, that we're responsible for the condition of the world, you had a real ramp up in people saying that they didn't want to have children, a real ramp up in antinatalism. Even if you look back at some of the films of the 1970s and you have all these people saying like, oh, we cannot bring a child into the world right now. It's so devastating and difficult. And of course now here we are 2024 and it's, you know, we're like at the pinnacle of civilization, but people always want to believe that their time period is the point, that it's all going to come to a head. Yeah. You know, the apocalypse is now, it's happening now. We're going to, you know, the world is, we're at the end of history.
Very
Everyone
narcissistic.
wants that.
Eventually they'll be right.
But it's just sort of, eventually they'll be right. And I think that everybody just sort of hopes that it's in their lifetime that the end of the world comes, just so they can be there and see what happens.
Wouldn't you want your kids to be with you?
Who wouldn't want that?
Wouldn't you want your family to be with you when that happens?
But it's not any different now than it was at you know, in 1999 when everyone thought it was going to be the end of the world because the calendar was changing. You know,
I mean, this is the reason why so many people latched on to COVID so much, because people loved thinking that they lived in this ultra unique timeline with this once in a lifetime event, and they were actually relishing it. There was actually a thing going around on a bunch of Reddit threads very recently talking about COVID. I shudder to say this. Actual, like, they were wistful for COVID. They want it back. Like COVID nostalgia.
Yeah, because they were hoping the world would end because it sucked. No, we do live in a unique time though.
But also
because
you
of
were
the
comparing
internet.
this to Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, well, this came at the same time as an interview with Sydney Sweeney, a Gen Z actress. And she talked about how being a mother is one of her biggest aspirations in life. She said, I think about having 4 kids. I dream of teaching them how to ski when they're little and having them follow me around on adventures, taking them on hikes, teaching them how to build tree houses, just living through their imagination. That's something I really, really look forward to. And EV Magazine shared this. The part that they did not share from her quote is that she said, it would just be insane if I tried to do that before turning 30. Yeah. And currently she's 26 or 27, and she's been in a long-term relationship since she was like 18.
Are they married?
No, I think they're engaged.
How long do people get engaged for? Like, just get married.
Like forever.
What is the
these
problem?
days.
Like, why? Like, if you're going to get engaged, you don't get credit for being married just because you got engaged. Like, just get married.
Yeah.
What's the big deal?
I wonder what the average length of an engagement is. And I bet you like
it's going up.
I bet you like there's a correlation.
It's like 10 years.
Yeah.
I bet you there's a correlation between the length of the engagement going up and the success of the marriage going down.
Well, there's also been studies about if you live together before you're married, you're less likely to stay married.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah. It seems inadvisable.
It does seem inadvisable.
But yeah.
12 to 18 months is the average length of an engagement here in the U.S.
Wait, what? 12 months?
12 to 18 months.
12 to 18
a
months.
year.
Okay, I would assume that it's just going up, though, as we progress.
Yes.
But seeing that quote from Dolly Parton was just kind of striking to me because she's always seen it as this figure of positivity and love and light and all of those things.
But she's also not
she has
shaming
such a
people
nihilistic worldview.
Yeah. She's also not shaming people for choosing to have them, which is how she maintains that reputation. Now, if she was shaming people for choosing to have kids, that'd be a different story.
She's the one also who had her whole program where she was sending books out to everybody. She had like a children's book program.
I think she still does.
And you could sign up for it. And I remember I signed up for it and we never got any books.
Scammer!
Scammer!
I know. I was kind of like,
today.
I was annoyed.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So, I mean, 4 kids for Sydney Sweeney by, like, she's going to start at 30, right? That's going to be, she's moving into high-risk territory by the end of that.
I mean, not quite. I know someone whose
I thought 35
mom...
was when high-risk pregnancy began.
Yes, 35.
Okay.
35, then it's officially a geriatric pregnancy.
Okay.
But I know someone whose mom started at 31 and she had 5 kids successfully. So, I mean, it's
Any
not
twins?
impossible
No twins.
by
She was
any
just
means.
pregnant for that whole period of time.
Yeah. Yeah. And works as
Yeah.
well.
That sounds
which
like
is
a
even
lot.
harder.
Yeah.
It would be good to see more of the actresses that do have kids younger talking about the joys of motherhood rather than talking
there
about.
any?
There's
Halle Bailey. Yet that's not
Well,
really something
she
that
had
we.
a baby, right? Was she like a single mom, and it was a whole?
She's. I mean, the way I see it, like even if the dad is involved, and you're not married, you're kind of a single mother. Like her.
Well, unless the kid lives with the dad.
Her baby daddy is a rapper named DDG, and a lot of her fans hate him. And she kept it a secret that she was pregnant the entire time. Not very well, but she did.
She didn't show?
She did.
Okay.
She just photoshopped her waist a lot.
I see. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's one that comes to mind. But none of the actresses or public figures that are having kids in their 20s are doing it in a way that they would like promote it
Well, that's what
to
I'm
their
trying to say.
audiences,
I'm
and
trying
they're
to say
not
that
getting married.
They're not focusing on the positive aspects of it. They're talking about how it made it harder for them to have a career, and then they focus on how they had to work harder to be the actress that they wanted to be despite having kids, rather than
Well, I
focusing
haven't
on
seen that so
the
much.
kids being the focus of it, because it's just not beneficial to their careers.
I didn't see Halle Bailey say anything like that.
No, not her. That's just one example.
Or
But
Kylie Jenner was a young mom too.
not, I mean, she's not an actor or somebody who's working in these.
She's a billionaire.
The nihilistic Hollywood scene, which is telling you to get abortions rather than have kids, so that you can keep making movies that nobody goes and sees anyways.
Meanwhile, everybody is always like, oh, they drugged Judy Garland and they were so mean to her. It's the same thing now. It's just with, different tools.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I'll wait for more positive examples of motherhood from Hollywood. I won't hold my breath though.
Did you guys see that lady who was complaining? She was like, I gave up my kids because I wanted to have sex with more fellas.
Well, no, Brett
and now I
showed
have to
me the
pay
video.
child support.
I think she was
Boo.
trolling.
You think so?
I think that was definitely fake.
I don't know. She seemed just like the worst person ever.
I mean, anyone who said that would probably frame it in a way that was far more flattering to themselves. Like,
Or
she wouldn't
she's
just
that-
come out and say, like, I didn't want to be a responsible parent.
Hold on, I'm gonna
That
find
is
don't know.
actually the quote.
I think people
So I
say
assume
that.
she was just engagement farming. I hope that it's not real.
let me see if I still have it here. I sent it to you, but I don't remember at what point I sent it. But that was quite a discussion to be had there.
Oh, did you guys?
I mean, I sent it to, basically what it is now whenever I see stuff like this, I tend to just assume most of it is fake anyways. That's how I interpret most things. I don't know if it's this one. Hold, please. Yeah, it's this one. Hold on. Here
This
it is,
lady.
Yeah.
Yeah,
refresh.
this is the lady.
And
Okay, so in November, I decided I no longer wanted to be a responsible parent, and I gave up my kids. I was just tired of being responsible and caring for them. I felt like I was too young and I wanted to go out there and experience life, and I started dating someone else, so it just didn't fit with my new lifestyle. And I didn't have anything to worry about because the other parent is a very responsible parent. But now I'm here because now I'm in child support, and to top it off, I'm really pissed off that I took care of them all the way up to November, and I couldn't claim them on my taxes because the other parent had already claimed them.
She's like about to cry with the piano music
she's
and her
awful.
Chanel brooch,
Yeah.
just like front and center.
$20 super chat here from Bender the Offender says Blake Lively is a good example.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think of her.
But yeah, that
But they're few and far between.
I have no idea if that lady is faking or
I
not.
think she's definitely trolling.
But I tend to be.
I just think
suspicious
there's
of anything
that
that's-
many really awful. I think there's that many awful people in the world
Yeah.
who don't think that they're awful,
Yeah.
and they just
True.
they just do it, and they're just like they feel justified in doing whatever their personal desire dictates they want to do at the time.
Well, one of the comments was like, how is this any different than being a deadbeat dad? That's socially acceptable, but this isn't.
Well,
like,
she's paying her
since
child
when
support.
is being a deadbeat dad considered socially acceptable? Like, no, it's
It's not
bad when
really.
both of them do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I assume that lady was just trying to get comments.
I've just taken the approach that I just choose to not believe any of it nowadays. Rather
Probably
Than,
better for your mental health.
Yep. All right. What would you ladies like to see? Cringe or cute of the day? Well, just to forewarned is forearmed. Mary said that today's cringe is really, really bad, and she very rarely ever gives such a disclaimer beforehand.
It is. It's painful.
Oh no, really?
Maybe we should start with the cringe then.
All right, we'll start with the cringe of the day then first here. That's the Mary giving any type of disclaimer to something like this is scary because I have a low tolerance for cringe as it is. But here we go.
It's an Oni-chan tournament.
Where did you find that?
It was on my algorithm, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, anime is cancer. That's all that needs to be said.
What were they trying to do?
It's an Oni-chan tournament. I guess they're trying their best to do impressions of anime characters. Yeah.
220s here. One from Benjamin the Dream Wizard says, please to mention my show Dreamscapes, Real Psychological Dream Interpretations, and my 17 currently available works of historical dream literature. Love the show. Thanks for all the laughs and insight. Well, thank you. And let people know where they can find those episodes, right? 17, it says the show is called Dreamscapes, so we would need to know where they can go to find it.
Dreamscapes, the show?
That's what he's calling it, yeah. So okay. I need to know where they can find it, my friend. That way we can let them know so they can go and check it out. And we got one here from Disco Jensen, says, Libby is right. Watch Divorce Support Court to see the worst of female nature.
That's a good point, yeah.
What is that?
Divorce court?
Is it a show about it?
No, it's just actually family
okay.
family court in the United States is a disaster.
I was thinking like Maury or something.
I bet you could see it on Maury.
All right, let's do some cute of the day to kind of cleanse the palate there. My goodness.
Yeah.
All right, this is from Shane H. Wilder. Says, we needed more pop culture crisis pets for cute of the day, so I am obliging with some photos I took of my aunt's cat, Cherry.
Oh.
Let's go full screen for that one. That's a good photo.
That's majestic.
That's very cute.
Cute. We got the in color version. Ooh, the little side
eye right there.
I like the little bell too. That's
Bucko was looking at me like he was about to pounce
Yeah.
today. Like he was menacing me.
Where was he?
He was like standing on top of a perch.
He's been on the printer all day
Yeah.
today. He was literally on the printer the whole day.
on the printer. My mom's dog freaks out when the printer turns on. Like if you just turn it on, she loses it. You have to take her for a walk if you want to print something out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Poor thing.
She is a sweetie though.
All right, we got one more here. Let's look at this one. This is from Anne. Says,
I thought we already saw
did that one
the
yesterday.
rat.
Sorry, yes, we did see the rat yesterday. This is from Vincent on Twitter. Says, here's my kiddos, Pizza Kitty and Milo are my dudes. They've been with me 11 and 10 years now.
Pizza Kitty. I like that.
I like Pizza Kitty for a name.
Aw. Love the mane.
I love it. All right, let's go ahead and get started then. We are what now? We're 48 minutes into the show, ladies and gentlemen. Time to get started. All right, so I was on X the other day and I noticed that Gal Gadot's name was trending. Clicking on the link, I didn't know what to expect. Perhaps she had a new movie coming out. Perhaps she said something about another celebrity. But no, that's not what it was. Discussing Film released this tweet that basically mentioned that at one point, Gal Gadot was offered the role of Barbie in the Barbie movie. And then what ensued underneath was a bunch of people just dunking on her, either because they call her a Zionist or they just call her a terrible actor. But I shouldn't be surprised by the vitriol, but there was a lot of vitriol.
Yes.
Because her and Amy Schumer were apparently, as we know, Amy Schumer was offered the role of Barbie, or had taken the role of Barbie years ago, and it was a much different movie than the one we got now. But what X was basically saying was like, look at it, they really wanted to put a Jewish person in this role, and the amount of people that were just pissed.
Look, Brett, you're kind of misrepresenting it. Nobody has a problem with it because she's Jewish. They have a problem with it because Israel and Palestine is this hot button issue right now. It's trendy to be mad about it. And Gal Gadot is one of many celebrities who are getting hate right now for being pro-Israel. She is Israeli. She's outspokenly pro-Israel. And yeah, I've seen a lot of hate towards her. But it's not new information that she was offered this role. In fact, I think it might be fake news because somebody tweeted, I went down a rabbit hole trying to research this, and as far as I can tell, it's not actually true. Gal Gadot said that she was asked to play one of the Barbies, but only after Margot Robbie already had the lead role.
And that there was
she wasn't able
scheduling.
to do it because of scheduling conflicts. So I do see Gal Gadot as a possible Barbie, but not the stereotypical Barbie. I don't see Gal Gadot as a blonde, personally. I can't really picture it. But immediately, people were outraged because Gal Gadot could have been Barbie, but wasn't. They're mad that she was even considered for the role because she is a Zionist. One person tweeted, "The cultural conversation around Barbie would be so astronomically different these last few months if the face of the movie had been IDF war crime Barbie." Another said, "There wouldn't have been a conversation in the first place. You have to have half decent acting ability to pull off a campy over-the-top character like Barbie. Gal Gadot can't act her way out of a box." Do you agree with that?
I think she has limited range, yes. I think that she's very successful because she has a very, very unique type of charisma, and she has a very beautiful smile that I think serves her well in the roles she takes. She did this movie called Heart of Stone, which I absolutely could not stand. It was really, really bad. It was a Netflix movie, and there's I'm watching it, and it's just getting worse and worse, and CGI is really, really bad, and everything's really, really bad. But then there's this one scene where she just smiles really big, and I'm like, oh, I'll watch like 10 more minutes. And then as long as she does that, like every 10 minutes, I somehow end up at the end of the movie. But as far as looking for somebody with enough range to pull off the nuance of what they would want for a character like that, which is, I guess, they did kind of want
character like
that.
Barbie?
But in the movie, she's fundamentally, there is stuff at the end that's different from who she was at the beginning of the movie. Whether you like their interpretation of the story or not.
Right. I don't think it would have taken that much range.
I don't think the scene Mary mentioned earlier, the one on the bus bench where she kind of slowly comes to tears. I just don't know if I buy that Gal Gadot would have pulled that scene off with the same, ability that Margot Robbie did. But also, when she has to have her heart-to-heart with Ken at the end of the movie, I don't know. Maybe she could have done that one, but I think the other scene where she's not playing off anyone, I don't know if I buy that she would have done that. And there's just a certain American whimsy to Margot Robbie's performance that Gal Gadot wouldn't have been able
Even
to
though
embody.
Margot
Even though
Robbie
she's
isn't
Australian.
American.
But the point is,
Yeah.
she's using an American accent, right? And Gal Gadot has always used her own voice. I've never
Yeah.
heard her do an American accent in a movie. So
I don't think she'd be able to do
Yeah.
it. Anna de Armas as well.
I disagree that the role was even remotely nuanced, or it did not seem like a difficult role to perform.
Did you end up watching Barbie?
I did watch Barbie.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah.
I just didn't think it
they
seemed-
tried to make Barbie a nuanced character. That was the goal
Yeah.
of Barbie. I don't know if it really accomplished
I mean,
that,
as Barbie,
but-
perhaps it was a nuanced character, but I don't think that it was. I don't know. I think practically anybody could have played that role. I don't think it looked like a very difficult role.
in the chat,
You
Kent
know.
says, Brett, be like, why don't you smile more? Yes, literally. I'm actually saying that. I actually do believe that. You could probably look at the female characters that I like in movies, and the rate of how much they actually smile and seem like warm and inviting people is much higher for the characters that I actually enjoy watching on screen. So yes, you're actually not wrong. I just don't take it from a misogynistic point of view. I'm just simply selling you.
No,
telling
Brett,
you what
you're
it
a
is that I like about it.
misogynist.
We had a $20 one here from Pat the Plumber. It says, Mary, part of your forehead is showing.
Oh, no.
Again.
I need to cover it. I need to wear a hat.
She's just start wearing a beanie.
Yeah, I'll
You
become
really
Tim.
just need the hijab, and then you'll be.
I did.
Yeah,
set.
I'll start doing the show in a niqab. You'll barely be able to
it'll be
hear what I'm
perfect.
saying.
You'll cover everything.
I did see somebody the other day said, what if Tim just started wearing wigs one day on Twitter the other day? You could do that.
That would be a serve.
Like George Costanza on
Yeah.
Seinfeld when he
A
gets the
toupee.
toupee.
I love
Yeah.
it. I think that's a
A
fantastic
Trump
idea.
style toupee.
It would be MAGA. It would just be like shaved letters MAGA toupee.
And then one here from Mike. He
Funny.
says, Gal Gadot is my current favorite actress, but she does have limited range. Yes, she does. But that's the thing. The movies that she's successful in, look, the reason why Wonder Woman worked is because she is kind of a fish out of water in that movie. And it makes her character look more endearing because she doesn't have any idea how the world works in the timeline that she's in. Right? Because she's come from her former home, and now she's there in the UK, and she has no idea what a secretary is or what they do, and that's endearing, and she was able to portray that. I do not believe that she would be able to have the range to pull off other roles.
Well, maybe you're right, and Gal Gadot isn't an incredible actress, but I feel like people are overstating it now just because they hate her stance on Israel. Like, this person.
Thank you. And that's exactly what I'm saying. Is that they're not wrong, but they're not acting in good faith. Let's go!
Someone with a Palestinian flag in bio and pronouns in bio wrote an entire thread saying why Gal Gadot was a horrible Wonder Woman and human being, and the current perception of Diana, a thread. And it's just a picture of Gal Gadot with a big X over it, a big red X.
Well, people who hate Jews are just going to be like that.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I don't know
we've been
why.
Seeing so much of that. It's been sort of shocking.
I just
to
can't
see the
relate.
level of anti-Semitism in American society.
I
It's
just,
just
like-
there.
Do you find it shocking?
I have found it surprising. Yeah.
I did as well. Like, I mean, maybe just because I saw this thread this topic the other day where Josie was in a back and forth with somebody on X, as she's been.
And it wasn't about the calendar?
And it wasn't about the calendar.
Wow.
Basically,
Wow.
they were talking about like somebody says, explain to me this magical colorblind society that we used to live in. When was that? And she goes, the 90s.
It was the 90s, yes, correct.
So like as somebody who is a child of the 90s, who was born in the mid 80s and grew up in the 90s, it is shocking to me to see just how divided and racially and culturally divisive things are.
Yes.
And I think that's perhaps more of a shock to somebody who's from, who grew up in that time period than perhaps somebody who's been born more recently, who's only known this kind of divided timeline that we live in now.
Yeah, but it's just so much more pronounced on the internet than it is in real life. Like, I'm sure most people don't even know that Gal Gadot is Jewish, or they don't even know that she's pro-Israel, and nor would they care.
Well, I think I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, like, most actors and actresses have political opinions that I probably find abhorrent or stupid. It doesn't stop me from watching or enjoying any of the movies they're in.
Yeah, I think
shouldn't be an
that's
issue.
true too. That where that's really pronounced for me actually is what's her name? Jamila Jamil.
Oh, yeah.
I hate everything she stands for.
She's very annoying.
She's so annoying, but I really like her in The Good Place, so I'll still watch it.
Yeah.
And I just ignore
It's not a big deal.
I
mean,
ignore
like,
that part.
we have to do that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not really a choice.
And
liked
she's
her
good
Rachel-
in that show.
We liked Rachel Zegler in The Hunger Games. It was not bad. I did not hate her in that role. It's not a problem for me. I thought Ezra Miller was one of the few good parts of the Flash movie, despite the fact that I would never want to be anywhere in a room with a chair that Ezra Miller could possibly pick up and throw at me. Granted, I'm not a woman, so I might not actually be at risk there. But it's kind of important to be able to look at these things objectively when you have to review their movies and stuff. Or another one that I like, I love Alec Baldwin as an actor. I love Alec Baldwin in 30 Rock. I love Alec Baldwin in everything. He's just really, really annoying and really, really stupid.
And a psychopath.
And kind of a psychopath. And I certainly wouldn't want to ever go to a firing range with him. But,
No, that would be a
I
very
would
bad
never want to go to a
idea.
gun range with him. But,
That would be existential.
In general.
I do agree that they massively dodged a bullet with losing Amy Schumer for the Barbie movie, but I assume that the script was in a much different place at that time. They were writing Barbie to be an ambitious inventor, and her invention was going to be a high heel shoe made of Jell-O. I thought I was imagining this, but I did fact check it, and that is the reason why Amy Schumer dropped out of the film. So just by chance, they really dodged a bullet with that one.
It is a compliment to, like, I suppose it says a lot about your career when you've made enough money that you can, like, turn down a project for such a ridiculous reason.
Yeah.
You don't want the Jell-O shoes.
Yeah, you're like, I do not want the Jell-O shoes. I will not do this movie.
Right. That's funny. I wonder what that movie would have been like. I don't remember a 2016 Barbie movie.
Well, that was. I mean, there's a whole lot of movies that get brought up and then
Right, and then they
conceived
don't
and then they just
happen.
never happen.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There have been like 9 different. They're finally remaking The Crow this
Oh,
year.
really?
With one of the Skarsgårds. I don't remember which one
Isn't
it is.
that movie? I feel like that property is kind of cursed.
It is. I mean, they did a bunch of direct to DVD sequels after the original, but after what happened to Brandon Lee, it's very
Yeah.
cursed. There was originally going to be a Jason Momoa version of that movie, which I could actually see being made, but the point
And he
is,
would be the guy?
yeah, and he would have been Eric Draven.
Huh.
So the thing is, though, is like there's so many movies where you'll hear about these pitches for like all of the times that these like famous directors were going to make a superhero movie, right? Like all like stuff gets flushed down all the time in Hollywood. So the idea that you can just turn on a project because you've made enough money, That must be nice.
Yeah, I guess Amy Schumer is in that position. She seems to have turned it down because she thought the premise was sexist or something, like belittling to Barbie as a feminist figure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's so bizarre that we ended up with Barbie as a feminist figure.
Well, she always was, though.
But she was just a doll.
Yeah, she was just a doll, but it was meant to represent that women can be anything they want to be. Barbie can do every job in the universe and be beautiful at the same time.
I have one of the original stewardess Barbies.
Oh, cute.
Mm-hmm.
That would be flight attendant Barbie now.
Yeah.
No, it is stewardess Barbie.
Flight attendant.
She's got like,
She
I
will
think
always
it's a
be
TWA
stewardess
bag,
Barbie.
I think.
It was very humble of Margot Robbie as a producer on Barbie to not insist on playing Barbie herself. It was Greta Gerwig who insisted that she play the role. But she was just, to me, the obvious choice all along. Maybe that's just because she
looks
did
like
it.
Barbie.
But yeah, she literally looks like Barbie straight out of the box. So.
And still not mid. Another Gal Gadot is another one that people have a mid discussion with sometimes, depending on the comment section you go to.
Gal
But
Gadot mid?
that never makes sense to me because I think both of them are beautiful.
Gal Gadot and mid do not belong in the same
No,
sentence.
they do not. She's gorgeous.
No.
But she's, like I said, limited acting range doesn't actually, it's not any type of barrier to entry in Hollywood if you can make them enough money, because there's enough, fluff pictures that get made every year that somebody like her, like she just reappeared in the last Fast and the Furious movie, despite the fact that makes no logical sense whatsoever, given that she died like 8 movies back. Doesn't matter. You can bring him back. It's fine. Not 8 movies back, but she died many, many movies ago. So she's perfect for those big budget movies that people only watch because it's something you either put on in the background or because it's mostly action scenes.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of these actors and actresses who made, incorrect statements about Israel and Palestine, who are perceived now as Zionists, are going to outlive that? People are going to forget?
I don't think it matters. I think they're probably going to stand up for Israel no matter what.
Well, yeah, but they only made a statement because everyone was demanding that they make a statement. I don't even know if a lot of them felt that strongly about it. They just follow the tides of social media, and
Gal Gadot, she I'm sorry, I interrupted you again.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, with Gal Gadot, that it makes sense because she had made statements about that in the past. That makes sense. But there were others who had never said anything about Israel or Palestine in the past, and they said something because all of their comments on social media were demanding, make a statement or else, and they fell to that pressure.
Silence is violence.
But then they didn't say exactly what their audience wanted them to say, and there's also pressure from Hollywood for what they ought to say, so they're risking jobs. I saw that people were trashing Joey King as well for being a Zionist. Okay. But I think it's just if you say anything but the scripted line, like, I support Palestine unequivocally, then you're going to get trashed and called a Zionist, even if you're not really one or the other.
Gal Gadot, though, she put together the screening of the, atrocities of October 7th in Hollywood. Yeah. She was one of the people who funded that. I'm pretty sure she was one of those people.
She wasn't at the actual event either. So it was
there were
put it up.
Physical fights outside of the theater.
Was that the one in New York?
There were fights in both places. Yeah. But the other thing too is if you look at the history of Israel in the past, in the 21st century, Israel pulled out of Gaza in 2005, I think. Israel pulled out of Gaza, and then the Palestinians in Gaza elected Hamas to be the governing body. And then humanitarian aid was pouring in for years. So there hasn't really been a lot of cause to make any kind of statement or to be super vocal about your views on, the situation in the Middle East between, Israel and the Palestinian territory there. There hasn't been a lot of reason to do that. Until this happened. Yeah. So I think that's also part of why you haven't seen people make statements prior to that, is there just wasn't anything going on. Like Hamas took 2 years to plan this. Yeah. And during that period of time, they were like, hey, we're nice, give us money. And the US continued to sink money into Gaza, and that money was used to fund terrorism. So I think that's part of it, is there just hasn't been a need to say anything.
I have a problem with the idea of the Hollywood. It's not even just Hollywood now. It's kind of just the culture around the internet that it's not only do you not have a right to not have an opinion, you have to have the right opinion. So it's like, here's this major event that happened. Doesn't matter if it didn't happen anywhere near where you live. You are now required, if you're a public figure, to share your opinion on it. Oh, and by the way, it better be the right opinion or you're going to be in deep, deep trouble, rather than just understanding that some people are going to just choose to not want to say anything.
I mean, it's just disingenuous.
That. Yes, it is.
It's the same thing as being pressured to post the black square. None of these people are educated on what they're talking about. They don't know what they're saying. They're copy and pasting vague statements that they saw on other people's social media. I don't think that celebrities should be political pundits.
I also think we should ban
I agree with that for
of,
sure.
We should ban the use of flags in social media names. No flags for your username anymore.
Just get rid of all the flag emojis.
Kind of like how I'm anti-party affiliation on voting tickets. I don't think you should be allowed to. I don't think people's party affiliation should be in the voting booth, so that people are forced to actually read into the people that they're choosing to elect. Right? Because otherwise people just go in and either hit R or D for all the names. I don't want to have to look at like what country you represent, because now it's just shorthand a lot of the time on Twitter or X for for what side you support, rather than like, just imagine there's somebody in Israel who just likes being from Israel, but doesn't want to get involved in all this. But no, if you have your flag affiliation for anything, it was Ukraine just the other year, even though people didn't live there.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, no flags for your names anymore. Get rid of them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, let's read some super chats. Yorishima Otaro said Amouranth is grooming her 12-year-old Twitch subs to OF. Is it those 12-year-olds with mom's credit card?
Yep.
Giving her $50 million fortune?
That's a shame.
I certainly hope not, but yeah, she definitely has minors in her fan base. Shane H. Wilder said, Happy Thursday, Brett, Mary, Libby, and all of the crisis actors at home and abroad. 07. Tacti Platy said, Libby, do you watch Star Trek Lower Decks or SNW?
What's S&W?
I don't know.
But yes, I've been watching Star Trek Lower Decks. I watch it with my son, who was like, Mom, here's a Star Trek. I will watch with you. And I was like, whatever it is, I will watch it. And we've been, I've actually really had a lot of fun watching it.
Have you seen, did you see the stuff that Shatner has been posting about how they've been trying to minimize his impact on Star Wars by whenever they do
Star
like,
Trek.
Yeah, what'd I say?
You said
Star
Star
Wars.
Wars.
That they've been minimizing the work he did for Star Trek by like anytime they make posters of all the captains, they never include Kirk.
Or they include the new Kirk.
Yes.
The like, whichever Chris it was,
Yeah.
Kirk.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I
Fine.
have not seen that. I don't think you could possibly minimize the original Captain Kirk. I do not think you could minimize Shatner. He's the only Star Trek captain who actually has gone to space, right? So I don't think you could minimize that. Kirk is king. Shatner is the man.
And if you guys haven't seen the show Boston Legal, he plays a character named Denny Crane. and
He's great on that.
Yes, he is. He's also probably the last time you'll ever see a show where a Democrat and a Republican get along very, very well.
It's him and Spader.
And James Spader. Yep.
I love both of those guys.
And James Spader plays this new age liberal lawyer.
Smarmy though.
He's actually very representative of what they've become politically, meaning like basically in a Manhattanite. I think, does the show take place in L.A. or New York? I think it takes place in New York. Or it's Boston.
remember.
Boston Legal.
Yeah,
so it takes
Boston Legal.
But
Makes
they
sense.
represent a lot of clients from New York. The point is that he's smarmy and he's very elitist and progressive. And of course, he's portrayed as a little bit off. Right?
Oh, and he's older.
And he's older, and
you
they're
know.
like, they almost portray him as like not dementia, but he's kind of losing
like
his
on
marbles
his way
a little
out,
bit.
yeah.
And they have this great bit where he explains how like liberals need the abortion issue to be a law issue rather than a morality issue, because they can't actually take a side on the stance of morality, so they need it to be about the law.
Well, they've proved them wrong though now, because now abortion doesn't have to be about the law for progressives. Instead, you just center the woman, which is what the Church of Satan did when they created their abortion rituals. They have like these satanic abortion rituals, and it's all about the woman like taking back her power.
Yep.
That's what it's about. And so they just reframe morality, because in a relativist society where there is no fundamental shared morality, you can make it whatever you want.
Let's do two more.
Shane H. Wilder said, "You don't advocate for sailing the high seas, but y'all are the ones who convinced me to buy my Alex Jones parrot." You're basically a pirate.
I think we missed one up here from Shane H. Wilder. Cotton candy. Do you got that one?
No, I guess
Says,
it didn't show up
did anyone see
me.
these floof cakes made out of cotton candy? They're like
Wait, what?
What?
45. I mean, hold on. They're like $45 to $100. Let's see here.
for
It's not-
cotton candy.
Apparently, it's not letting me click on it here. They're $45 to $150 a cake. Seems like a lot for sugar sponge shaped like a cake.
Does
Spun
it?
sugar shaped like a cake.
I'm looking at it now on Instagram.
Is that a thing?
Floof cotton candy.
Cotton candy is not good.
Oh,
Overrated.
They're super cute, but I would not pay $100 for that.
No.
I mean, we do have women paying gazillions of dollars for Stanley cups.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I don't understand like that.
I am a little outdated, I guess, because I only just learned about it recently when my friend was like, my brother spoiled my daughter by buying her a Stanley Cup. And I was like, how do
Hundreds
you
of
buy one of
dollars.
those?
The
you know?
Target ones are going for hundreds of dollars online.
What, the floof cakes?
The cups.
They're these pink
Yeah.
limited edition Stanley cups. I saw a video of a guy looting a Starbucks with a box full of them.
It just seems so like they don't even look good. I really like my cup,
Yeah.
which is
it's
not a Stanley Cup.
Not a Stanley, so I guess you're not hip.
I'm not. I mean, as if we needed more evidence that I am not hip. Yeah. Oh, but look at this. Yeah, $50 for a watermelon ombre floof cake.
What?
Yeah, $50.
Let's do one more.
Okay, Bucky Ducky said, "Where is Phil? Is he safe? Is he all right?"
Isn't he in Iowa?
You should
Yeah,
be.
he's in Iowa.
right now.
He's safe and in Iowa.
All right, let's hold off on the rest and we'll come back after the fact. Mary, tell us what's going on with this this ex-child actress.
Well, last week we started off this story with an ex-child actress named Arden Young. She posted that her New Year's resolution was to hashtag expose Hollywood, and with it she shared a video sharing her experience going to a child acting class and a really creepy teacher that she had who was in his 30s who created an exercise for her and another 13-year-old girl to make out on a couch in front of him and another adult acting coach, upwards of 30 times, she said. That's just one of many experiences she says that she wants to share about, trying to make it in the entertainment industry in Hollywood as a kid and, encountering a lot of these creeps who are not powerful on the level of a Harvey Weinstein, maybe, but people in the lower to middle
They're still the gatekeepers.
sector. Yeah, they put themselves in relative positions of power a lot of times over children. And then they abuse that power. So she's continued this series with another video. The title is "The Child Photographer Who Lured Me to His Apartment/Studio." So maybe we should watch the video here
they have
just to
to
get the
watch it,
full
otherwise they
scope of
won't.
what she's saying. I can't just summarize it because there are a lot of details that matter.
All right, here we go, guys.
Hey guys, if you're watching this, you may have watched last week's video where I warned parents about getting their kids into the acting industry. I shared an experience I had with an acting teacher when I was 13 who made me and another 13-year-old girl make out in front of him and other kids. He later contacted me for sex. Today I'm going to share another experience of mine that will hopefully give you even more pause before considering an acting career for yourself or for your child. We often hear about famous types like Harvey Weinstein being predators due to how much power they have in the industry. But so much abuse happens in the lower to mid-levels of Hollywood where you wouldn't really think there would be that much power to abuse. Please keep in mind this is not an easy thing for me to share, as I've never talked about this publicly before. I was 15 years old and I needed new photos taken, and my mom and I were referred to the best children's headshot photographer in town. The photographer is nice, has no problem with my mom being there the whole time, and this will be important later, my mom and I both assume that he is gay, based on the way he speaks and dresses and some other factors. I fall in and out of touch with this photographer for years, and 5 years later, when I'm 20, he asked me to do an artistic photo shoot to expand his portfolio. where the subjects are nude, but their faces are obscured with shadow, leaving them anonymous. He offers me this photo shoot for free. A free photo shoot with a photographer of that caliber, coupled with the fact I was under the assumption that he wasn't attracted to women, I felt safe, so I agreed. I arrived at the photo shoot, immediately feeling weird, but because of my programming as an actor, I blamed myself for how uncomfortable I was, and at his request, I undressed. I had to stay naked for a while before we actually started shooting to allow for the imprints from my waistband on my skin to disappear. During this time, the photographer began to examine my body closely, shower me with compliments, and touch me inappropriately. All the while repeating, "I can't believe I've known you since you were 15, and does your mom know you're here, and does anyone know you're here?" He made the outline of his erection very clear to me, and I did my best not to look or acknowledge it. I was shocked, disgusted, and stunned. I didn't even feel like I was in my body anymore or had control over what I was doing. I was just frozen. He even said to me as he fondled me, "I'm not like Harvey Weinstein, you know." During the photo shoot, he continued to come up to me and touch me on my breasts in my privates. He claimed this was so I could look more free and uninhibited. And as a side note at this point, I feel like those are a predator's two favorite words. I contemplated just bolting out the door, but I didn't know how many locks there were on the door and if it was locked. And the reality was, I was a naked girl in a huge maze of an apartment complex in Hollywood. And I was so unfamiliar with my surroundings, I wasn't sure I could actually make it to a place where someone would see me. He then tried to get me to shower at his apartment, which I said no to. And as soon as he deemed the shoot over, I left. I was so mortified and shell-shocked, I thought about calling the police. I sat in my car with my phone for a while, but I didn't. After all, I was an adult who had agreed to meet with this photographer for a nude photo shoot. There was no documentation of the molestation other than my word. Looking back, I regret not filing a police report, but I guess hindsight is always 20/20.
Okay.
Yeah, and she shared screenshots of their messages from back in 2018, so it makes sense that he compared himself to Harvey Weinstein, or I guess mentioned Harvey Weinstein, because this was right after the Me Too movement popped off in 2018 when she was 20 years old. So remember that. She's an adult when this happened. His message said, "I've changed the nature of my work. I'm not shooting kids anymore, and I'm trying to focus more on working with adult actors on very tasteful, fine art imagery. I'm putting together a portfolio of this stuff. So if you ever want to shoot sometime, let me know, free of charge, and I build the portfolio. It's generally very tame, lovely stuff. Hope you're well and thriving, my friend." So I wanted to highlight this because she ended up getting a lot of criticism and a lot of backlash after posting this video. Not so much with the first one, although we did see a lot of comments saying, you know, you should name who these people are. Why don't you name them? They could be still at large, you know, still being predators in the industry. You have no idea. But I guess that we would have to find out directly from her why she chose not to name these people. It's probably due to the danger of legal trouble, if anything. And also the fact that they're not well known. So it would be like, okay, it's John Smith from Hollywood. Yeah. What are we supposed to do with this information? But yeah, there were a lot of comments who were criticizing her and saying that, you know, this was actually consensual and you knew the terms of what you were doing. So there's no reason that you should frame this as some kind of predatory experience. Someone said, there's nothing to file on a police report, really. As you said, you were two consenting adults. You knew the terms and he didn't touch you inappropriately. I didn't get the Harvey Weinstein comment because this was pre-public allegations. Based on the dates she showed in the screenshots, I think it was after the fact.
She said that he touched her inappropriately.
Yeah, that was in her account. But I guess they would claim maybe this is normal for a nude photo shoot for him to adjust her. But she's not specific enough about what that meant for us to know, like if it was sexual in nature, if he was doing it unnecessarily. So she responded to this person, and she responded to a lot of critical comments, actually. She said, after watching my video account of a photographer molesting me after luring me to his studio under the guise of a free shoot, this guy somehow took away that I consented. He didn't touch me inappropriately, and I knew the terms. What? Another one said, did you tell him to stop? You yourself, 4 minutes in, kind of acknowledged some issues on why this doesn't rise to a criminal offense. And she said, yeah, a man in his late 40s, early 50s lures a 20-year-old to his studio he's known since she was 15 under the guise of free services and thinks it's okay to just start touching her privates. When she freezes out of shock because she's in a very vulnerable position and also until moments ago thought he wasn't interested in women, it's her fault. She eyes the door to try to bolt for it, but is scared he will retaliate. Still her fault. I think that is a good point. Like, if this guy actually is a predator and she were to try to bolt for the door and escape, he's much physically stronger than her, much more physically strong. So he would be able to stop her. And she also said she wouldn't know where she was going. Another said, not so sure about that. She doesn't describe anything about resisting him touching her. She agrees to go to a man's house alone and take off her clothes, and the man makes an advance at her. It was a sleazy ruse, but a misunderstanding, and perhaps she was naive to put herself there.
Well, I think that what's interesting is I don't think that, just based on watching that, she wasn't saying that it was criminal. She wasn't saying she was pressing charges. It's more like she was saying.
Well, she said she wished she had.
But like this is something this is what happens in this industry.
Yeah.
You know, it's more
Right.
of a.
I mean,
It's
but
more of an
saying that she wishes she
explainer.
had filed charges means that in her mind that it did rise to the level of criminality.
At the time,
Yeah.
if it was 2019, she certainly could have
Yeah.
destroyed this man's life fully because it was the height of Me Too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if like somebody without a reputation, I think that was more likely to be happening to people with actual names and recognition.
But it was happening to everybody.
The
The Me Too stuff wasn't like you didn't have to be famous to get Me Too'd and have your life ruined.
That's what it turned into. Yeah, but I believe if she did file a police report, because none of it is documented and only their text conversation where she consents to it is documented, the
Becomes a
police
he
would
said, she
basically
said.
tell her, like, we can't do anything. Sorry. But I don't think that we should use criminality as the metric for whether something was, acceptable or okay. Like, obviously his behavior was sleazy. It was creepy. The things he said, or at least the things that she reports that he said, were creepy.
It's certainly a disturbing account.
Denoting that he knew that he came off as creepy, obviously. So I guess it's more of just a warning about the average type of person you're going to come across if you are in the entertainment industry. I think that's her main point, is if you're a parent of a child who says they want to be an actor or actress, take note that these are the types of people they're going to be encountering, and you should probably discourage them from going down that line of work.
Yeah. The comment about does anyone know you're here would have set off my alarm right away. His
Yeah.
comments to her says, does anyone know you're here? That's not something you ever want to hear if you're alone in an apartment with somebody you've only met once in your life.
Right, someone who's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything that he said supposedly would denote that he's completely aware of how he comes off, right? And is unashamed of it. I think that what this proves is, women's self-defense classes are all BS. They don't teach them anything useful. What you need is situational awareness. You need good judgment of character. You need good self-awareness. You need to cultivate, if you don't have it already, you need to cultivate some assertiveness, an ability to stand up for yourself when you're uncomfortable or you feel violated. And a lot of
Yeah.
women just don't have that. They need to cultivate it so that when they're in a situation like this that is dangerous or just uncomfortable, they're capable of saying something.
Yeah, and you need to. I think one thing that I find interesting about these kind of situations is that you're so accustomed to believing that people aren't going to cross a line that you're not quite comfortable crossing the line yourself of saying that they're crossing a line. You know, it's funny you talk about situational awareness. I was just talking to my brother who teaches self-defense for women and stuff, and he has started teaching situational awareness, and they do this kind of stuff. They do these kind of like hypotheticals to be like, how are you going to get out of this?
Because if you're in hand-to-hand combat with a man,
That's
the
one thing.
likelihood is
Right.
he is going to win. That is the
Right.
fact. So the self-defense you have as a woman, the best self-defense you have is a weapon, particularly a gun. If you're in California, that's not really an option, or situational awareness and being able to judge someone's character before you even end up in a situation that is dangerous or violating. That is the best thing you have. Or you need people to guide you and give you advice. It just seems like she didn't have anyone who warned her against this type of thing.
I think the idea of assertiveness is probably even just as important as that, right? Because a lot of these cases, like if you think about the Aziz Ansari one, and what it basically came down to was a woman who had no idea how to tell a guy that was trying to have sex with her that she wasn't comfortable with what was going on, and then it was later basically it was called the rape later. But what it was that he just couldn't read her mind, and she didn't know how to tell him otherwise. And teaching women to have a more assertive personality, especially in these situations where your hackles are up and you don't know necessarily what's going to happen, would be very, very important. And it puts you into fight or flight. But it's a sad situation to find yourself in. But there's a real understanding in that industry that the desperation to succeed and the need to get ahead by any means possible is a very, very easy emotional state to exploit from people, especially from...
We just got a $20 super chat from Carnell. Said, Arden was recently on the YouTube channel Side Scrollers, where she explains why she hasn't named names, but is considering that she will at some point. Definitely worth a watch. I imagine she'd possibly be willing to come on PCC. I got like a couple minutes in, but I didn't have time to finish watching that appearance.
Well, she said she was doing this in private, right? She was going after
she's privately pursuing justice with some of these people.
Yes.
Yeah. But a lot of people just because of the Me Too movement and its flagrant excesses immediately respond to any account like this with skepticism and also just outright disbelief. And I can't say that that's totally unfair.
No, it's not. I mean, the idea that you would just accept every claim whole hog is ridiculous in this day and age when there's been too much benefit for people to lie. So it's good to question all of these stories when they come up. Look at these things as rationally as possible. Whatever metrics you use for, I guess, dissecting what's innocent, what's true, and what's false. By your own metrics, right?
But also, if she's not naming names, if she's not filing lawsuits, if she's not trying to cancel anyone, she actually doesn't have anything to benefit from.
It does give her a little more credibility that she's not naming anybody.
Yes. Okay, so for me these days, I don't have the patience for people who don't use their own names in the lawsuits that they file. Like if you go as Jane Doe or Jane, whatever, John or Jane Doe.
Like the moms who bring the case against Florida saying, I should get to trans my 11-year-old.
Well, not just that, but like all of the people who were suing various celebrities recently for these interactions, and they don't put their names on the file. How am I supposed to make up my mind on this story if I can't even look at who's actually involved?
We can't gauge your credibility.
Gauge your credibility, your truthfulness, and make no mistake, by putting this case out there, you are putting it out there for people to judge. That is part of at least for us, it's part of the job. Right, so she's put her name out there. I would have preferred she named names, but in this case, one of the reasons that I have such a hard time doing these types of stories is, yes, somebody says victim clout. Look, we do live in a culture right now where there is a strong precedent set for victimhood as currency. So I understand the skepticism there. But for the most part, when we cover these stories, it ends up being a bit of a wash because most people are, at least I would like to think most of the people that come here are pretty rational and say, look, I wasn't there. I don't know what am I supposed to say about this because I don't have any actual insight into what the actual events were. Somebody was saying there's ways that these things could be corroborated, street cameras, apartment cameras. I'm like, yeah, but none of those are inside the apartment where
Right.
things actually happened. That's why whenever people say, I'm going to wait for more info to come out in these Me Too cases, I'm like, are you expecting there to be a magical camera that caught the whole incident on tape? Well, the sad fact of the matter is the culture that we've raised around these types of accusations means that a lot of people will not accept anything as fact unless they see an actual video of what happened.
And it's totally different if someone were to come to you privately as a friend, maybe, and tell you something, this happened to me. You know, it makes a lot more sense to believe someone you personally know. But when you're going to the internet, there are going to be a lot of skeptics, a lot of people discrediting you. And that's just the game now. But I think that a lot of Me Too accusations really did, not all, but a lot of them really did result from misunderstandings. Just interpersonal interactions that are too complex for the abysmal metric of consent morality to make a verdict on it. Consent is a terrible metric for evaluating whether someone's actions were appropriate.
I think in some of the Me Too cases, the goal was career advancement by the women who lied or manipulated their stories to, gain attention. I think we saw that a lot. Like, I remember doing a bunch of interviews with men who had basically been Me Too'd and had this happen to them at the time. And in a lot of cases, these were consensual encounters where later the woman was like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. You raped me. You know, I remember talking to a friend of mine who had told me a story about a trip she had taken with her boyfriend when they were in college. And, you know, she had told me about, like, you know, their whole thing, and they had had sex on the trip or whatever. During Me Too, and that trip that she had taken was like in the early 2000s. And then during Me Too, she told me that story again, only now she had been raped in her mind. And I was like, but this is not how you framed this story previously. This is totally different. You know, I had another friend who had a similar thing where, like, you know, she invited a man to her room and whatever they did. And then like a month later, she told me that she was raped. And I was like, you called me the next day. You told me what happened. You invited him over. Like, what do you mean? What did you think what were you expecting at, 1 a.m. when you invited this man over after you guys had been out drinking all night with your friends? What were you looking for? Were you looking for him to come over and shake your hand and share a cup of tea and go back to his room? Because
cuddle and watch a Lifetime
I can
movie.
guarantee you that wasn't the goal. That's not the intention. Or like situations where a woman is having an affair with somebody, gets caught, and then says, "Oh, that man raped me."
That was that they used to do a lot of movie and television storylines based on that type of story, right? So. It's I would say a good rule of thumb is just don't go to a strange photographer's house to do nude photo shoots alone, and I think you're already off to a fantastic start.
Yeah.
You have to know what's being expected.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, I don't know about a dental harem, but my dentist has a based name. Dr. Kills Porn? Damn it, that reminds me, I've got a dental appointment coming up.
There you go.
That's a really interesting last name. Wonder where that comes from.
That's weird.
Shane H. Wilder said, cringe of the day, WTF did I just watch? I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. We're almost at the second crisis party.
He also said, thanks for showing the kitty. Yes, I have skills other than memeing and stupid jokes. I contain multitudes. LOL.
Yes, you do. And do one more.
Corey Anderson. Okay, I'm not going to read that. Yeah. Brett, do you want to read it?
Is it the... no, we can skip that.
You're going to skip that one too?
Why?
There's one more underneath.
What is it? I'm so curious now.
He said, I love Mary's forehead. It's her best feature. LOL.
There you go. All right. It's your best feature, Mary.
I hide it because I'm so modest.
She earlier, she just pulled her hair back and goes, my forehead.
Yeah, you were like, I'm kind of surprised because I just never see it.
I never see it. It's never out. I didn't realize that, right? Because you kind of wear your hair, like you change your hairstyle up and how you wear it a lot of days, but it's always kind of, the bangs are always there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
Look.
Mary, tell us what the hell is going on with this Calvin Klein ad.
Yeah, FKA Twigs is a pop star who recently had an ad campaign with Calvin Klein, as did Jeremy Allen White, an actor. You might know him from The Bear. In both of these ad campaigns, they were, to be, to understate it, they were scantily clad, okay? They were not wearing a lot of clothing. And when Jeremy Allen White's ad campaign was getting circulated, a lot of people were happy about it because he's in amazing shape. And a lot of the time, especially from Calvin Klein, we see woke marketing with plus size models that simply aren't attractive. It's nice to see things turning in the other direction. Mm-hmm. However, when FKA Twigs ad came out, it got banned in the UK. And they deemed it a stereotypical sexual object.
We can show the photo, I guess, because we used it. Here's a picture of
Is this
ad.
the one with the shirt?
Yes.
She has this shirt on. If you're listening, the whole side of her naked body is showing, but not the full frontal nudity there. Yeah. Side boob is showing. And, it's about as revealing as Jeremy Allen White's ad campaign was. He was, pulling down his pants. He had the Calvin Klein underwear on, Marky Mark style, and had his shirt off. So it's about as revealing. But in the UK, they have very strict standards for what is allowed to be displayed publicly by different companies. This happened to Demi Lovato when she had cover art for her album where she was... I think she was she was laying on a mattress that was shaped like a cross.
Yes.
For her album cover. That was banned as well.
It also happened to Alabama Barker because they banned an ad because they said it was sexualizing a minor. Because she was 16.
That's also fair.
She said she was 16 when the ad was made, therefore it was sexualizing somebody who was underage.
Yeah, so this got banned, and immediately everyone started talking about how this points out a misogynist double standard. And FKA Twigs released a post yesterday talking about this. She is furious that the ad was banned. She said, "I don't see the stereotypical sexual object that they've labeled me. I see a beautiful, strong woman of color whose incredible body has overcome more pain than you can imagine. Ugh. In light of reviewing other campaigns, past and current of this nature, I can't help but feel there are some double standards here. So to be clear, I'm proud of my physicality and hold the art I create with my vessel to the standards of women like Josephine Baker, Eartha Kitt, and Grace Jones, who broke down barriers of what it looks like to be empowered and harness a unique embodied sensuality. Thank you to Calvin Klein, Mert, and Marcus, who gave me the space to express myself exactly how I wanted to. I will not have my narrative changed."
I wonder what she was trying to convey with her self-expression.
Yeah, I don't think that this is art. This is just advertisement for a product.
It's just advertising for jeans.
I don't necessarily agree with the double standard being enforced, but the way that she responded to it was incredibly preachy. So I'm kind of
really
ambivalent
obnoxious
now.
Yeah, really obnoxious statement.
What does this have to do with you being a woman of color as well? A lot of the comments were saying this is exactly what they do to women of color. Black women are always over-sexualized.
Oh, blah, blah.
If she were a white woman, people would just be blaming it on misogyny.
Or they'd just be like, she's pretty, like Kate Moss when she was doing the Marky Mark ads for Calvin Klein. Very similar to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They just love patting themselves on the back with these paragraphs, with these long-winded...
For their innate characteristics.
What I think we should do is just... women should just stop... If they're going to go into Hollywood women should just stop going to college and taking creative writing courses so that I don't have to read any of these long-winded I'm so great paragraphs filled with lame, flowery language as if it was being written for their obituary. It's
yeah.
All of that is just stuff that says at your obituary. You don't say that about yourself, you weirdo.
Also, it's literally just an ad.
Imagine
There's nothing profound about it.
So self-aggrandizing.
You're not nearly as profound as you think you are.
Definitely
FKA
not.
Twigs. And friend of the show, Vera Dark, tweeted about this. She said, "On the left, we have a Calvin Klein advert that was banned due to its over-sexualized nature after regulators deemed it irresponsible and likely to cause serious offense. On the right, we have a Calvin Klein advert, Jeremy Allen White, that the media praised and regulators said nothing about." So I guess she's sort of making the comparison when it comes to female and male video game characters. Because of Gamergate, there was this huge pushback to female characters in video games having over-sexualized imagery, being forced to wear very revealing outfits, having exaggerated proportions. But then when it comes to real men and women who are also in great shape, who are being used as models to sell products, the same standard is enforced.
I don't think this is, it is weird that it got banned in the UK. Like, that does seem bizarre.
No, that's where a lot of this happens. They're very strict with their advertising.
Yeah, but they'll post anything.
Look, I thought
the police will come to your house if you misgender on Twitter.
Company's different than an individual person, I guess. But
I guess.
Look, I thought we were supposed to value women's bodies more than men's, so that's why they're holding her body to a different standard than Jeremy Allen White's. That her body is, it means more, therefore it should be cherished more, therefore it should be covered up more. I don't know.
No, but that's the truth. Women's bodies do matter more than men's.
So
that's why they.
So there's the logic.
This
right?
wasn't banned in the UK.
Oh yeah, the trans ads from Calvin Klein
models.
Well, we're not going to pull them up on
undies.
screen. It's too offensive.
It's
for
too
you guys
offensive.
to
But
see,
these weren't banned. Like, it's okay to be half naked if you're trans in the UK wearing Calvin Klein.
It might be indicative of Calvin Klein and other corporations moving away from woke DEI marketing campaigns. They realized that did not work for them, so now they want to go back to using models who are actually good looking.
Right, it didn't work for Victoria's Secret either.
No, yeah, they just doubled down. But I think, like, seeing the response to Jeremy Allen White's Calvin Klein ad campaign, it was mostly gay men. So, it's men who react to the visuals more strongly than women, right? And women's bodies do evoke stronger responses.
This was a topless cartoon of a woman, and this was perfectly permissible.
Yes, the double mastectomy scars.
The double mastectomy, Costa Coffee double mastectomy
pregnant
scars.
Men.
Yeah, that's
quote,
all
unquote.
perfectly okay.
They also refer to it as stereotypical sexual objectification. Well, can you even, by these people's standards, can you even sexually objectify men?
Probably not, because that would be, you can't punch up,
Yes.
I guess.
So he can't be sexually objectified. Therefore, there's no reason to have a problem with it. Again, we're back to this old thing that I like to talk about. Men and women are different. You are held to a different standard for all sorts of things. This just happens to be one of them, no matter how many lame paragraphs about yourself you write.
Vera also posted a quote from the UK regulatory organization that said it needed to be pulled because it used nudity and centered on FKA Twig's physical features rather than the clothing, to the extent that it presented her as a stereotypical sexual object.
That's all ads.
There's an argument to be made that it's not a great photo of the product. Like,
that's never true.
Even
it never is.
In the Jeremy Allen White one, at least the product is somewhat front and center. This one, it's literally the center is nothing to do with it. The shirt is off to the right and then off to the left because it's hanging off her. It's not a good photo of the product.
But what they're doing isn't necessarily selling the product that actor or musician is wearing. They're selling an aspirational brand image.
I love the idea that the guy's just like, the photo's ass, retake it. Like
remember all of those old Abercrombie and Fitch ads that had all of those impossibly hot dudes and impossibly hot girls? It was meant to make Abercrombie and Fitch into something aspirational. That's why they only hired hot people to work at their stores. It's like the overall public image of the brand really got tanked when they leaned into having plus size models, trans models, all of this like just visually horrifying shit. And then they realized that was a massive mistake, and they're turning around back to the way that their advertising was in the 2000s.
Maybe if she was wearing like Calvin Klein underwear in that photo, they would have let it go.
Like maybe. Or was it the side boob that...
Not that size, though. But
no, that's... Yeah. I just think that's really... Like, in the UK, there's such a collection of cognitive dissonance contradictions going on there. Such a disaster.
Yeah. And look, I don't think that the ad... I find this pretty tame, and I don't see any reason
Agreed.
why this should have been banned. But I'm always going to laugh because when you write a really, really lame paragraph about yourself like that, like we should just not be allowed to talk that nice about ourselves. You shouldn't. You should be, if you're going to say something nice about yourself, say it in one sentence or less. I don't want to see a whole paragraph about it.
I mean, I think that everyone should put some clothes on and that we should have some more decorum in society. Some more modesty from both men and women would be nice. But if that's not going to happen, let's enforce the standards equally. Right?
Well, where men and women are not equal. So no, these standards will never be enforced to the exact same extent.
Right. But they're running with the lie that men and women are the same.
They are
Yet
not.
in practice, that never works out.
If they didn't ban Kate Moss, they shouldn't ban this.
You know, Kate Moss actually came out and said she was made uncomfortable by Mark Wahlberg when they did that shoot
Oh, I'm
together.
sure. I mean, they were naked. She had to
Yeah.
like press up against him. I'd feel weird too.
Yeah, but it was sort of what you were saying earlier, the way that people retroactively interpret their interactions like it was some kind of
Plus,
violation.
she was probably like extremely high during all of those shoots. Like she probably
I thought she was like very young, but so
there
was
was like
Marky
a whole
Mark.
cocaine thing. It was like a very big Kate Moss cocaine thing.
I just see that they're saying that the focus is on the body rather than the product, and
But it
is-
That's
always
always
the
true.
fair-
It literally, that is always true. I remember walking through New York City subways with my son one time when he was very little, and he was like 7 or something, and we were looking at ads, and he was like, "Mom, what's that an ad for? Is that an ad for kissing?"
Imagine,
And I was like, "No, it's an ad for jeans." And he was like, "Jeans?"
imagine they held the same.
Where?
Imagine if they held the same standard to all the big pharma ads that have nothing to do with the products that they're advertising. What does a bunch of people running in a field and prancing have to do with your? With
I'm
your
riding
medication?
my bike on this ad,
It has
and this
nothing
is
to
about
do with your
anxiety
heart
medication.
medication, but-
It's like, look at all the things you can do if you take this medication.
Well,
Ridiculous.
FKA Twigs does not have big pharma FU money to then pay off the regulators, so
No, too bad.
that's too bad. I just think that
Maybe she should just advertise for Ozempic.
that she should do her own
Right?
Ozempic ad then.
Right?
Now we're starting to see Ozempic
It should be
ads.
this picture, but like with an injection. You
Like
know?
Photoshop a fatter version of herself to be like a before and after. Like this was me before Ozempic and this was me after Ozempic.
Or her paragraph could have been about how actually on the inside she's a man, and this is how she's expressing her masculinity, and then it would have been praised.
Yes.
So
You know, would have been, just put a little rainbow flag on the thumbnail there.
Yeah, that's all she would have had to do, and it would have been stunning and brave.
Perfect. Yeah,
Stunning and brave. Sorry, FKA
they would have
Twigs.
hung it up at Parliament.
They didn't ban this ad here in America though.
Well, we don't have regulatory
Yeah.
practices like they do in the UK.
So how many of these sales were coming from the UK really?
With Calvin
FKA
Klein.
Twigs is British.
Yeah.
I suppose the ad campaign might be targeted towards because she's probably more well known there anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
All right, let's go super chats.
Pat the plumber said, "We can't only pick on Brett. It's 2024 for crying out loud."
Yeah, well, I was just going on about how men and women are not the same, so maybe I can't make that argument here now.
Oops. Not that John Stewart said, "Military recruitment psyop Barbie."
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
Really?
IDF sites.
IDF recruitment
IDF
Barbie.
recruitment
Interesting.
Barbie. Yeah.
They used to have international Barbies. I remember I had an Italian Barbie.
I'm sure there's a woman of Mossad calendar out there somewhere.
Oh,
Is
I'm
there
sure.
a soldier Barbie?
I don't
Or is
know.
that
I don't know. There's
It's like her
astronaut.
getting,
G.I. Jane.
It's her getting
Yeah.
pulled out of a foxhole by Ken.
there's astronaut Barbie.
Yeah.
I just saw recently that the first all-female space crew went up, right? Just recently.
Good luck,
Why?
ladies.
Why is this a thing? Like, why can't
love
people
it.
just be qualified and then get hired based on those qualifications?
They love it. They love to advertise this stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
When we got done watching Mean Girls, Mary wanted to stay all through the credits because there was supposedly going to be this amazing, mind-blowing post-credit scene that did
I didn't
not
say
come.
that.
She said something. She definitely built it up in my mind in the 2 seconds she had to describe it, and it was nothing. But the point is, there was 4 different lines for DEI consultants for the movie.
And an intimacy coordinator.
Well, you have to have that now.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to have the intimacy coordinator so that nobody can say a couple of years after the fact that they got raped.
Yep.
Actually, the original Mean Girls was more raunchy than this one.
All it really had was the 1 or 2 kissing scenes, and that was
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. They also got rid of the Coach Carr storyline, where the adult coach was hooking up with a student. That's too offensive for today's
in
audience.
today's day and age, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
You can't do that now. There's just groomer teachers. Can't have groomer teachers.
Let's do 2 more.
S. Mill said Mary would make the perfect Barbie. Then Pat the plumber said Mary would be Rad Trad Cath Barbie.
Rad Trad Cath Barbie.
I don't think that Rad Trad Barbie needs to exist, to be honest.
All right.
Thanks.
Let's hold off on the rest and we'll come back to it after the fact. Mary, what's going on with Amouranth?
Twitch streamer Amouranth recently posted a tweet with a screenshot of her bank statements, and it shows that she made over $50 million off of her OnlyFans. Just her OnlyFans. That's not her total earnings for the year, but this was in just 1 year.
Doesn't even include that beer that has her yeast in it.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's
it
this
doesn't
person?
include also the Twitch donations, which I'm sure are insane. And, I don't know what her motivation was behind posting her earnings on Twitter, but it got a strong reaction. A lot of her fans were begging her for handouts. I guess now Amouranth is going to turn into a welfare state for all of her followers. But also, a lot of people were debating, whose fault is this that a woman could get so exorbitantly rich off of selling her sexuality? Is it her fault for exploiting that system? Or is it the fault of the Simps for
Obviously, it's the fault of the
amassing
Simps.
her fortune?
Well,
Like,
right
why
now
are you
they're-
paying this woman?
Right now, our chat seems to agree with you. 56% of the people polled in that question that we asked say that it's the Simps' fault. So I'm going to close that now since
All right.
we've just got into the topic. So 56% of you say that it is the Simps' fault. 40% of you say we live in a society, and 4% say it's Amaranth's fault.
Only
Yes.
4%.
Yep.
Well, I
Take
would
some accountability for your actions.
I would
gentlemen.
vote we live in a society.
Yep.
Because the truth is that both are at fault in this. It's a two-way street.
In the free market in the capitalist free market, she is just filling a need that needs to be addressed here in society, apparently. And
Is this a need, or is it just a hedonistic desire?
Okay, well,
So what is the deal? So OnlyFans, like you like if you're Amouranth, you have an OnlyFans, and then you like do stuff on camera, basically.
or just photos.
Take your clothes off, and
You
people
take
pay
your
for
clothes
it.
off, and just people pay you.
You're a digital stripper or a digital prostitute.
You're just like a digital-
She's filling a market right now.
so
and
it's,
then
it's
on
porn,
Twitch-
basically. It's just porn.
Yeah, on Twitch she keeps it, I wouldn't say PG, but like PG-13 with a lot of cleavage, a titty streamer.
I wonder if somebody could
What's
like
a titty streamer? What's that mean?
Titty streamer is a bit of a derogatory term for...
That means you're a streamer, but you're like showing it
Yeah,
off.
the
Okay.
female streamers who kind of rely on showing cleavage, showing their bodies for donations rather than being entertaining.
And then you get donations just because you're sitting there, like, and people could look down your shirt.
Yeah.
Somebody should make like a picture representation of what what 50 million would look like in wrinkled $1 bills.
It would fill her entire house, her entire mansion.
Wrinkled $1 bills, yeah.
Yeah,
She's
like
like
the strippers
Scrooge
used to have.
McDuck over
Right.
there.
Yes.
Like, and what the hell happened with her storyline, this sob story that she told all of her simps about how her abusive husband was forcing her to do OnlyFans.
Oh, this is that same person.
He's forcing me to objectify myself. You built our empire off of my body. And then after that sob story comes out, she continues to objectify herself on OnlyFans
well, 'cause
and
she's
brags
making
about
$50
it.
million.
It's just so like flagrant. It's so in your face. And she tries to act like a victim about it. It's crazy.
This reminds me of like, you know how if you play mobile games and they're always like, pay $2.99 for a bunch of stuff you can spend on this mobile game. Like, why would you do that?
In-app purchases.
I
Very
hate
big
that
thing.
stuff.
Very big thing.
That seems like what OnlyFans is.
It's and with all the money that she's making, it's not just that. She also now has her AI chatbot
Right.
that is out there that is selling you the girlfriend experience for $200 a month, or is it
But it's-
$200
it
total,
is.
or $200 a month.
It's $200 a month.
But it's totally fake, right? I mean,
Yes.
It is totally fake. However, she deceptively markets this AI girlfriend of herself as having full autonomy, and she really knows you. She really remembers the details about you. She really cares.
who developed the AI chatbot?
She worked with a company.
I assume a company approached her and said, "Hey, we think we can make a killing off of your pathetic simp audience," and she was like, "Sign me
Okay,
up."
Let's do it.
And
Yeah.
just, there is an argument to be made here that she is shepherding in future customers from a very young age who find her on Twitch, grow up watching her, and then eventually, once they are old enough, and theoretically when I guess they don't even technically have to be old enough, or maybe when they get a job and they have a credit card or a debit card that will not show up with a statement on their parents that says OF purchase. I imagine that it comes up as something more discreet or something like that, right? Like they're not gonna put that up on their mom's credit card, but you start them young in the fan base on Twitch, and then eventually they'll pay that money to her when they're old enough to do so on their own.
Right. There are a lot of minors who probably watch her and other titty streamers on Twitch, and they're just growing up in a pornified culture, and they don't really know anything different. Thank you.
Thank you. Guys. $200 a month is insane.
Oh, yeah. It's like, who has this type of money in this economy?
And I guess like these people, I guess they feel like they are buying a relationship. Like we talked, I think the last time we were on, we were talking about like some weird guy who followed an OnlyFans person to some shop and took a picture with her and had her face as a tattoo on his actual body and stuff.
Right.
That seemed crazy too. And he like had this expectation of having a relationship with this woman, which it does seem like sort of dangerous for both of you. Like it seems dangerous to be that woman in public, not having any idea who the crazy people are that are spending $200 a month so they can feel connected to you through your AI chatbot fake girlfriend.
Yeah, and like we both know from experience that just like being a woman who publicly appears on the internet in any context is going to attract some crazies.
Sometimes it's weird.
But it's a totally different ballgame when they start playing into it and attracting more crazies and appealing to the crazies. And then,
and stealing their money.
Yeah, basically. I mean, she's not stealing their money.
You're not stealing it, but like
they are freely giving their money. I can't imagine why, but
I don't get it either. I would feel like such a chump.
How do you I don't know, how do you diagnose the simp problem or the incel problem? Like, what do we do with this segment of the male population that feels they might perceive or they might really be closed off from the possibility of a relationship?
Well, this is a question actually that has been brought up by the Department of Homeland Security, and they have been funding studies at different universities, including the University of Arizona. They gave them like, I don't know, $600,000 or something so that they could go study the misinformation that is delivered to incels and try and get them to, I don't know, be progressive instead. Yeah, $600,000. It's like there's a $20 million granting program that has gone out to universities all over the country from DHS to try and solve the incel problem.
There's a $20 super chat here from Bender the Offender. Says, I pay $200 a month on my car. What the hell is wrong with these people? Mary's right. In this economy?
And a car is going to deliver way more than the AI chatbot.
It can deliver you to a girl's house.
I'm sorry. I can't get over this. So the Department of Homeland Security
for sure
is researching incels because they view them as a domestic terrorist threat, I assume.
Yeah, they were using, they gave all this money to Arizona. Was it Arizona State? They gave all this money to Arizona State to disrupt the manosphere.
Oh my God.
They literally mention Pearl Davidson and Andrew Tate.
These people are so stupid because, logically, you would think men who identify as manosphere or red pill or incel or what have you, they're reacting to being conditioned and indoctrinated and forced with these progressive values in schools, through the media. They are reacting in the extreme opposite direction. And you think the antidote is to force more progressive propaganda down their throats?
That's their plan.
Like, are they really that dumb?
Yes, they are really that dumb, Mary. They are really, really and truly that dumb. It is shocking. You can actually go to, I think I wrote about this last week for Post Millennial, but you can go to the DHS website, and if you dig around enough, I probably have a link to it in the story. You can find all of the programs that they are funding at all of the ridiculous universities all over the country, many of which are as stupid as this one that they're funding at Arizona State. They put together $20 million, I think, in granting to get universities to study this thing. And it's actually all part of that big plan that they keep saying how white supremacy and domestic terrorism are the biggest threats facing the United States. And they keep doubling down on that. Biden had his speech recently. He was like, white supremacy, domestic terrorism, MAGA, evil. They just go on and on about that, and they assume that people are going to believe it. Instead, I think they're just creating more simps for OnlyFans, really.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that all of these groups overlap, but they're not all the same type of guy.
Right.
Like, a lot of the simps probably identify as male feminists, and they have these progressive views, and that's why they believe in this sexual liberation that allows women to sell themselves on the internet. And they think that it's so empowering for Amouranth to sell her body on OnlyFans, and that's why they support her with their dollar.
Correct.
There's, an episode. I think it's the pilot episode of iZombie, where the victim is like she's like a Ukrainian hooker in Seattle, and like this lady she works with is also a Ukrainian hooker in Seattle, and across the apartment from her is just this guy. He's got the flannel shirt, he's got the beanie, and every time they go to talk to this lady, he comes, he's like, "Look, it's her body. Leave her alone." Like, and like then finally by the end, like Liv just gets annoyed. She goes, "Look, Karl Marx," and just starts yelling at the guy. And this is a problem.
You
right?
never trust a male feminist.
Ever.
Never trust a male feminist. They're
That's
not
true.
to be trusted.
I agree.
And it was.
And this is after years of knowing many male feminists, none of whom could be trusted.
Tim mentioned on like the last IRL that I was on that he said that over 50% of men now identify as male feminists.
Ew.
Do you know what these male feminists don't understand is that radical feminists do not believe you can be a male feminist. They say that your very ideology is sexist.
Or your very existence.
Yeah, what you believe yourself to be is actually incorrect. You cannot be a male feminist. That's what the rad femmes would say.
Male feminist is it's probably the biggest red flag. Also, for a lot of these guys, you ask how to solve the problem. How do you solve this problem? Well, people have to actually get out and re-engage in the real world. Like you're talking even deeper into like the ideological level about what they believe, but I think like actual human contact with other people of the opposite sex would help.
I
think that
don't
would
like
help.
the idea that
Yeah.
we're going to find the antidote for this crisis in men or the loneliness epidemic by feeding them more online content. We just need to make online content that's good for them. Like, no, get them out of the house.
Yes.
Like, they don't need to watch more red pill content. They don't need to watch Andrew Tate to just be a functioning human.
They need to talk to a girl in public.
Well,
Something
encourage
in
social
the real
interaction,
world.
encourage real families,
Yes.
Yeah.
encourage marriage.
You're not
You
going
know?
to save someone from porn addiction by showing them more addicting content. No more content. No
Real
more
world,
videos.
Real world interaction with actual human
Touching
beings
grass.
would go
There's a
long way.
reason it's such a big meme, you know?
'Cause
You
it's
actually need to
true.
do it.
It's like the old thing where like cliches are cliches because they're true. That's like memes.
But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just totally getting it wrong. I'm totally missing the mark, and I have no idea what could help these dudes.
No, I think you're correct, actually.
But like, is it clean your room, bucko? Is it what
It's
appeals
all of that
to them?
stuff. I mean, it's, you know, you look at like some of the social emotional learning stuff that's in schools, and it tries to get kids to be confident without actually giving them any skills, you know, or teaching them anything. I think that competence will breed confidence, will breed a desire for social interaction. You know, if you feel good about yourself because you are capable, resilient, and strong, you're going to be better off no matter what.
I wonder if that's why, like the average jock when they're younger might be able to have a little bit more bravado and feign confidence because they actually have a skill set and something that they're good at a young age. Whereas a lot of kids, like if you don't have something you're passionate about when you're young that translates into the real world, like men don't develop that confidence until later, until they've established themselves more, built more skill sets, which allows them the ability to project more confidence onto their personality. Whereas like in high school, you know, the average jock who has played sports and has been lauded for things that they've actually done in the real world, well, that might be where that comes from them, but they're still children psychopaths. So it
And
comes
now
out
what do we laud people for? Now what do we praise them for?
just being alive.
We praise them for coming out.
Yes.
I mean, that the rite of passage is no longer, you know, taking a pretty girl to the homecoming dance. It's telling everyone you want to cut your dick off.
I don't know, man. If/when I have sons, I'm gonna like make sure that they're raised by wolves. I'm just gonna send them out into the woods.
You got to be careful with that. I know some of these men raised by wolves. They're not better.
I'll leave some food out for them on the porch, and they can come by. But you know, I guess men just like need to engage with their feral side.
Yeah, that can go too far as well. You got to watch that.
I was was it yesterday that I was telling you the story about like the first time I got like a major concussion skating, and like I had to like, that was this on the show yesterday, or was this before the show that I was telling the story?
I'm not sure.
And basically the idea was I tried to jump this gap. I hit my head really, really hard, and and the whiplash on my neck was very severe. I was 12 years old. I couldn't even bike home, and we had to go like limp up to the local Target to call my dad. And he basically said, "What do you want me to do about it? I'll take you to the doctor when I get home from work." And I had to make my way and figure out how to get home. My dad knew that I had gotten myself into this situation, and I needed to get myself out of this situation. And for that fact, I actually had to, and luckily there was nothing wrong with me. You could argue that maybe there was a lot of brain damage done. I think there's plenty of evidence on this podcast that that's true. But the point is that it's beneficial, especially for boys, I think, that you have to be taught to solve some of your own problems. Not all of them at a young age, but you do have to learn to, if you get yourself into situations, you have to learn to get yourself out of them as well.
A closing thought. I don't know if this really needs to be said, but it's super trashy to like flaunt your bank statements
I thought
like
you were supposed
this.
to keep that stuff quiet. I thought that was just
Such nouveau riche behavior.
Yeah, like I didn't think it was something that you actually wanted to brag about.
I agree.
Yeah.
I also think that's trashy.
No matter the means by which you're making the money, it's just trashy to be like flaunting it in front
The
of
only
everyone.
trashier thing she could do is tattoo it. So.
Has someone ever done that?
I don't know, but
I
it'd be
hope not.
trashy.
We got a $20 one here from Mikey. Says, y'all know a lot of these red pill guys are products of divorce, right?
I'm
Aren't we
sure that's
all?
true.
I mean, aren't we all products of divorce?
That's
children of
that's a sad
divorce-
statement on modern day American culture.
Either children of divorce or guys who have been divorced themselves. Yeah, I mean, fatherlessness.
My grandparents on both sides got divorced. My parents got divorced. They both remarried and got divorced, and then got divorced again. Like, I don't think
So what you're really saying is that
my
the lawyers
aunts-
are the real winners here in America.
My aunts all got
Lawyers.
divorced.
Yeah.
You know that's why that's why there was that comment about divorce court.
Yeah.
Family court is really a terrible, terrible situation in this country.
Yep. All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Tacti Platty said SNW is Star Trek Strange New Worlds with Anson Mount.
Should I watch it? I haven't watched it. Should I watch it?
Sounds like you want to watch it.
Tell me right now.
Anson Mount is great. Watch Hell on Wheels if you haven't yet seen it.
I've been watching Lower Decks with my son, but maybe I will try this one out. He told me that Discovery is not great and we shouldn't watch that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to listen to him on that. But honestly, if there's a Star Trek property that I can watch with the child, I'm chuffed by that.
There
so,
you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Pat the Plumber said Shatner killed his wife by pushing her in a pool.
Is that true?
Wait, what?
I'd never heard about that.
Me neither.
Did you? I don't know. That sounds pretty crazy. Hiroshima Otaru said, every time you talk about Stanley Cup, I think hockey.
Yeah,
Me
that's,
too,
That's the
same.
thing. Thank you. Like,
Yeah.
there's a comedian named Carter Anderson. Go on his Instagram is hilarious. Carter Anderson comedy, and he does this one back and forth where it's the Stanley Cups, the new ones, and then it's Logic, and then also the Stanley Cup from hockey, and it's like a three-way conversation between the three, and it's absolutely bonkers. But
Okay.
It is. I saw something earlier. It is the Tickle Me Elmo of current year for women.
I gotta say, like, whenever I see a grown woman drinking out of a straw from a cup or whatever like that,
Excuse me?
it's just really, I'm not into it. I'm sorry. I don't like it.
I'm feeling the hostility.
I'm sorry. If I had seen that, I wouldn't have said
It's not a Stanley
anything.
Cup, though.
That is better, and it does
And
have
by
a
the
bow on
way,
it. But I
It's the
don't
third
like.
crisis party, guys.
I
It
don't
was
like
a
the
gift.
straw.
I don't take the blame for this. This was a gift from a friend, so I have to use it.
Okay, I understand that.
So was my Stanley.
I just don't like straws. I find them just
Really?
yucky. Yeah.
They're like my favorite thing because I wear lipstick.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So here, okay. So
But yeah, I will say William Shatner's wife was found dead in their pool in 2019, and the autopsy results say that she was drunk and on sleeping pills. And William
Doesn't mean he didn't
Shatner,
push her.
William Shatner was never suspected
he was
of
never,
foul play.
Well,
Apparently,
they would never suspect
according to the
Captain
internet.
Kirk.
According to the
Captain
internet.
Kirk would never do that.
He's literally Captain Kirk. He went to space.
I just lost. I had a great thing to say and I just lost it. Damn
I'm
it!
sorry,
I hate
it's
it when
my
that
fault.
happens.
I'm
I hate it
sorry.
when that happens.
Shane H. Wilder said Stanley is just the new Yeti. Change my mind.
Yeah.
We won't change your mind because we agree.
Oh no!
shot?
Now I remember what it was. Okay, so I remember when I first moved out here and went to like a diner in Frederick. They had these.
Oh, it wasn't 2019. It was way before that.
Okay.
Sorry.
There was these. They were using paper straws.
I don't like those either.
Okay, so
It's Frederick. What do you expect?
But no, okay, so I went back to that same diner recently, and they were back to plastic straws, and I was very excited. And as I'm doing that, I'm looking at my phone, and the article that comes up says Frederick to ban plastic bags, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
It's always going to be something.
you get one thing, and then immediately they're like, you can have this, but you can't have this. You can't have both.
Now, yesterday I was buying my food that I sneak into the movie theater and got
I do that too.
a gigantic nuisance of a paper bag to hold it in. It was just terrible.
And the
They don't even
greatest
have
thing,
handles.
When Mary brings in food, she brings in the loudest possible food containers you could ever.
You're
Can I
exaggerating.
ask you, what is your favorite snack to bring into the movies?
Yesterday I brought tofu and what was the other thing? I think I brought like this egg omelet and
So it was like
boba.
Japanese type of food?
I always bring boba. Yeah.
Normally she brings in sushi
like
with just
boba.
the plastic container that just
It's super loud.
It just
I got it.
reverberates.
But I try
around
to
the
open
studio.
it before the movie starts because I'm trying to be courteous, but sometimes it's just a movie that really doesn't deserve your attention, like Aquaman.
There was
That's
the
fair.
I don't
the
feel
meme.
that bad.
It's the top of the container that they would put those cakes in, and it's this plastic. It's this thin plastic.
sheet cakes?
The sheet
Yeah.
cakes. Okay, it says like you've never heard a loud sound until you've tried to take one of these off at 3 a.m.
You're sneakily trying to
In
eat
the house,
sheet
it
cake.
just reverberates around the entire house, and that's the
It's
type
like
of
a car
container.
crash.
That's the type of stuff that Mary brings into the movies. And I'm
love
just
it. I love
imagining
it.
because of way back in the beginning, she got caught and some Debbie Downer worker was like, you can't bring that in here. So now she's just daring them at every corner to just tell her no in there.
Yeah, and they never will. Wodenshot said, love the new segment Hot of the Day. Great show. I don't know. If you found that hot, you have some issues, dude. Sorry.
What was hot? What was the hot
the
part?
anime tournament?
Oh.
Yeah, no. S. Mill said it's definitely socially messed up to go from nice to see you, professional only person to groping private areas without consent, but unfortunately legally unpursuable. Yeah, you're right. But, I think it's still worth talking about if you're trying to warn other people about the culture.
Yep.
Tacty Platty said, show Libby People's Joker.
Funnily enough, I happen to have this pulled up right now, ladies
What
and
is
gentlemen.
Oh, but what a coincidence.
Remember, guys, we have a rule here. We are going to play the People's Joker. You can make the pain stop at any time. All it takes is a $20 super chat. Here we go.
Prepare yourself.
Hi, I'm Vera Drew, and 3 months ago, comedian Brie LaRose dared me to re-edit Todd Phillips' Joker. Now, I'm an Emmy-nominated editor who works primarily with Tim and Eric, so I could give you your standard alt-comedy Joker remix with fart sound effects and rhythmic cuts over nightmare drones, and you'd gobble it up, wouldn't you little piggy? But I'm currently unemployed and stupidly ambitious, so for the past 3 months, I've been writing a feature-length screenplay called The People's Joker. Utilizing clips from the 2019 Oscar contender, footage from other iterations of Joker's past, and just movies that feature clowns, as well as additional footage that I'll be shooting in the privacy
looks
of my
just
own
awful.
bedroom. I'm creating an entirely new feature film. You heard me right. This is my feature film acting debut, and I will be portraying both Harley Quinn and the Joker. Using these characters, which I definitely don't own the rights to, I will be sharing the story of my transition and how I overcame mental illness and the cycle of abuse that I was stuck in a few years ago.
sounds
It's your standard
awful.
queer coming-of-age story, only it takes place in the Batman universe. But wait,
And
that's
their
not all.
bedroom,
I'm
right?
a huge
And the
fan
bedroom.
of Suicide Squad, so the People's Joker will not
We
only
got
be
it.
the first
We got
film to
him.
We got
feature
it here,
a trans
guys.
woman.
Thank you to whoever did that.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Shane H. Wilder
Thank
says,
you.
stop the video. Pat the Plumber says, stop.
I appreciate that, you guys, from the bottom of my heart.
You really did Libby a favor there.
We when I was on either on, I don't remember if it was on Camel's stream or on Ballers, I did the same thing. I made them play it, and then somebody else did it too, where they're like, stop it, please, just make it stop.
Is that the guy who used to be on Mr. Beast?
No, looks just like him.
Looks
though.
just like him.
Yeah.
They do tend to look alike.
Bucky Ducky.
They sound very similar as well.
Bucky Ducky says, Brett, you are the worst. Stop playing this video before we all lose respect for you. My friend.
Blame Tacty Platty. He's the one who asked for it.
Brett isn't the one who needs to have respect lost for him.
You can make it stop at any time. That's all I'm saying.
It was consensual.
It absolutely
basically.
was.
Corey Anderson
Stop
said,
making me hit you. Stop making me hit you.
Seriously, like it's your fault, and quit acting crazy. You're starting to sound like your mother. Yes.
Corey Anderson said, not a fan
hurts
of
me more
Monty
than it hurts
Python,
you.
I take it. I don't know what. We didn't mention Monty Python. I guess he came up sometime.
I do like Monty Python. I don't think that
That was
video
not-
rose to the level of Python though.
Shane H. Wilder said, first female space flight. Can you make sandwiches in space?
You could check.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sure it's very difficult with the zero gravity environment. Like, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Guys.
I'm just imagining like sliced bread flying everywhere. You're trying to catch the mayonnaise.
The lettuce is like,
Yeah.
And then when they're done, the male astronaut says, I wanted you to cut the crust off.
They're like, damn it.
There were 4 women on ISS in 2010.
Okay.
Pat the plumber said, is this Amouranth hot?
She's not ugly. She's attractive.
She's definitely attractive. Like, how else would she even get this audience, right?
She's definitely not ugly.
That's what she's capitalizing on. Certainly not her personality that people are staying for. F. Google said, people like Amouranth are very predatory. She's on video bragging about how she uses sunk cost fallacy to keep people hooked into streams.
She read like one finance book. She read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And
That was the only one, yeah.
She thinks she's very smart and well read. Shane H. Wilder said both are at fault. Men should not be supporting her degeneracy, but she should also not be doing it in the first place. It's a vicious cycle.
Maybe she doesn't have any other skills.
So it's a chicken
As we
or
already
egg.
established, she only read one book on finance.
So it's a chicken or egg situation. Which came first, the simp
Or the 304.
Or the 304.
Yeah. Corey Anderson said, I can solve the incel issue. Just legalize adult relations for money. Saved the country some money.
That doesn't fix it. That whole Nordic model thing, that hasn't fixed it in them.
Yeah, what they want is someone to
Scandinavia.
voluntarily have sex with them, by the way. That's not what incels want. Incels already have the ability to pay prostitutes. They would rather someone want to be with them. S. Mill said, sorry, did you want to say something?
No, you have to leave your house and meet people.
Yeah.
I think that's an issue too, is people want relationships, but they don't want them enough to actually leave their house and go meet people.
It's the dopamine. You get the dopamine hit from what they're doing, and it's easier, and it's less time consuming, and you're emotionally putting yourself at way less risk by doing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. S. Mill said, being an OF sub is like taking a girl on foodie dates over and over who is sleeping with other guys and never you. It's the biggest L a guy could take. These guys are basically Findom subs.
Ouch.
I mean, it's pretty degrading. Bucky Ducky said, Mary, go outside. Also, Mary, I don't want to go outside. Hi, Bert. Was Bertman in the chat?
That's just another name for me, sadly.
Bert?
It's
Okay.
Bert. Brett with one T. Brent. Bread. They like bread. Which is why you're going to keep watching The People's Joker, guys. Frankly, it's my revenge for you for not spelling my name right.
It's The People's Joker, frankly. Mikey said, y'all know a lot of these. Oh, no, I already read that one. The Undertaker said, male loneliness is cured by spending a weekend in the woods. You get away from people and realize how superfluous they are to your happiness.
Well, okay then.
Yeah, men probably thrive more in solitude.
Yes.
The Manic Mustache said, boys need to engage with their feral side. Women are... I'm just going to interpret what you meant. They're to bring for... Wait, okay. They're to bring for men to heal, so they are forced to control that particular part of masculinity?
I don't get
is that
it.
supposed to be
I don't
the
know what
idea
that
that
meant to say.
that men are women like a guy who can be hard with the world but soft with them?
Like emotional vulnerability,
Yes.
but only in an exclusive way.
Yeah.
Pat the plumber said she was a family friend.
In relation to which one? She had, and then the next one says he says she had medical problems she didn't want to deal with.
Who's that?
Shatner?
Oh. Okay.
Oh.
I don't know.
I think it was 1999. I had it wrong when I said 2019.
Shane H. Wilder said paper straws in plastic wrappers. Why?
I know, right?
Just
I
why?
never saw that. All the paper straws that I
Really?
ever got were in paper.
Yeah.
I do. I understand.
I have seen that.
The visual idea of a paper straw in a plastic container is
Enraging.
ridiculous and enraging. But whenever I was forced to see them, they were in actual paper.
Paper straws put me off straws altogether forever, I think.
OrganizedBusinessServices.com said, right, Brett, today kids do not play sports. High school football saved my life. Born with cerebral palsy, I would never be the man I am today. Yes, Mary, my 40 was 5.9 seconds. My friends today is priceless.
Well, like for me, so I played team sports my whole life growing up, and that was very, very important because part of it is, yes, learning how to be part of a team and to work together, learning the importance of practice to get better at something, and diligence, the ability to wake up on time on the weekends, even when you'd rather sleep in, is important. And for a lot of boys, you know, I didn't want to get up early for school, but I liked getting up early to go play hockey. Maybe I didn't like it in the moment. I was rubbing the crust out of my eyes and being bummed about it. But I loved playing sports and stuff like that. But it's a lot more than that for a lot of people, and I think it's important for men to be able to build those skills and learn them on top of the physicality of just learning to be good at something and the confidence that can instill in you. It matters. And I think that society is losing out by not having kids engaged. And then it went on, right? So part of it is like in skating, getting into skating, I was then no longer part of a team sport, but every single day you're going out and you're risking physical injury to challenge yourself to do something that you've never done before, or document something that is an example of skill that's grown from practice. Right? And challenging yourself to do that every day is a great way to build your own self-confidence. The difference is you have to learn how to translate that to the rest of your life, right? Like, I know plenty of people who are very confident in their activities, but maybe not confident in other aspects of your life. You have to find a way to help it translate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in California, they're moving to ban contact football for under 12-year-olds.
Oh, the poor children.
Mm-hmm.
When you're that small, it's less dangerous.
Correct.
Plus,
What the hell?
Yeah.
It's
8-years tackling
weigh
each
like
other are
2
pretty much fine.
pounds.
Yeah.
checking someone in hockey was extremely cathartic and very, very good. And being checked is also very, very humbling. When you're okay, so I'm 5'5". I was always small. So in hockey, when you're younger, you have an advantage because you tend to be faster because you're less body mass. But as athletes get older and they grow up, you know, their legs get longer and they amass more strength. So then you are more at risk when you're short. And I will tell you what, you could be the most confident person in the world, but when a dude who's quite a bit taller than you just drills you into the boards and you get hurt, that is a very, very humbling experience. So you need to learn to be humbled as well.
I just can't get over that. For under 12s.
Yeah.
They're like...
Under 12, yeah. It passed the House,
It's
I think.
only dangerous after you start growing.
It's
like,
dangerous after puberty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so stupid.
Yeah.
Bucky Ducky said, Brett is thinking easiest $60 ever.
Look, you can just suffer through it. I'm not making you guys do that. It's up to you. We'll do it tomorrow too. We'll make Gothics watch it.
Mm-hmm. Corey Anderson said, my super chat that you didn't read referenced Monty Python's Roman skit about biggest.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Username I'm not going to read said, people who give Scamaranth money belong in a camp.
Is she really Scamaranth? I mean, she's not selling you something.
funny.
She's not trying to sell you one thing and then selling you something else, right? She's telling you what you're getting and you're getting what you pay for. This is like when people use the term grifter for just anyone that they don't like.
It's a little bit deceptive to say that the AI girlfriend has autonomy, but if you believe AI has autonomy, you're kind of stupid anyway, so maybe you deserve to be duped for money. High Voltage 75 said, good appearance, Libby. I'm glad no bugs decided to attack you this time.
Oh,
Wait,
it was
what's
touch and
crawling
go.
on your chair?
Okay,
Last-
okay,
yes.
okay. It was
Oh,
touch and
no.
go. There was a little bug here. I pushed him onto the floor.
The other day, one just hit me in the face as hard as it could.
I don't like
It's violence.
Yeah.
They just wake up and choose violence every day. Bang Bang Lulu said, Simp Cuck Dad OF Mom is an updated version.
I don't know what that is.
I don't get it. Shane H. Wilder said, why must I be punished? I always spell Brett right.
That is true, Shane. Thank you so much for always spelling my name correct. He even capitalizes it, which I appreciate. I appreciate the
Yeah.
attention to detail, my friend.
The Last of My Kind said, saw in high school 2 girls go to the movies with 2 halves of a watermelon simulating pregnant bellies.
Well, they shouldn't have been going to the movies.
With watermelon?
Why would
So they could eat. That's
Why
just
would
going to
you
be
bring
messy.
watermelon?
That's so That's messier and louder than sushi. Like, you need a knife to cut that watermelon. What are you bringing? Like a melon ball or 2? Like,
Maybe-
how is this effective?
Maybe it was one of those health class things where,
Yeah.
where you have to wear the fake belly for a while to try to.
you ever
It's
see,
not
like-
a watermelon.
Maybe it was a poor school that couldn't afford the
Watermelons are
fake bellies.
heavy.
Yeah, maybe it was a poor school.
I
that
was
couldn't
like
afford the
driving
fake
past
I love
a grocery
watermelon.
store recently, and there was just a watermelon just crushed on the sidewalk.
Oh, so sad.
All over the place. And I was like, our society's going down the tubes.
Watermelon is so great.
We used to be a country
when the watermelons were fresh
and intact.
and intact.
And when you dropped your watermelon on the ground, you cleaned it up because you cared about cleaning these
The hell is
streets.
this world coming to?
Yeah.
It's crazy. All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much, Libby, for coming today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Let everyone know where they can find you.
You can find me at Libby Emmons on Twitter because I don't like change. And you can check out all the great work we're doing at thepostmillennial.com and humanevents.com. And you should do that. Thanks, guys.
Perfect.
Yeah, links
Mary.
in description. You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
And one more from Pat the Plumber. We're getting close to that 4th crisis party. I don't know if it's going to happen. It'd be cool. From Pat the Plumber says, 2 belly laughs for me today. Thanks, Mary.
You're welcome.
One more here from Bender the Offender says, going to hear watermelon seeds being spat out mid-movie.
Ew.
Yes.
So discourteous.
That is very rude. Mary would never do that. She'll bring the loudest container known to man in there, but she would never spit out watermelon seeds. It's
No.
gross. All right, guys. If you would like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twix at Brett Dasovic at both of those platforms. Pop Culture Crisis is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific. I just watched the meter go up a little bit again, getting close to that 4th crisis party. Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific. Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. I do want to thank everyone. A bunch of people got like an ad-free version of the audio version the other day because Spotify was giving me such Megaphone was giving me such crap trying to upload the episode. I almost skipped. I almost used it as my excuse to skip Mean Girls last night.
that was not going to fly with me.
She wouldn't have bought it, like, because I
No.
was making jokes about how I'm going to pretend like there's a problem so that I don't have to go see it.
Oh, no.
Yes, but there actually was problems, and then I didn't have to fix it till later. So a bunch of people got like a pretty free version of that one. None of those ads. But thank you guys for checking it out on all of those audio platforms. And if you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with special guest Gothics and Graham Wilson tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.